Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your TWitWoW 5 Fave 5's episode 4. It is basically the 1-year anniversary from the first ever episode of TWitWoW's 5 Fave 5's. And on that first show, we told you guys that we wanted to do these on the first of every month, on January and May and September, but then we realized, wait a minute, we should just do it immediately after the biggest shows of the year and the first of the year. So basically, we made the decision to start doing 5 Fave 5's the first chance that we could in January, the first chance that we could after WrestleMania, and the first chance that we could after SummerSlam. Because why would we want to wait until the Superstar Shakeup when the whole point of this video is to be like a time capsule to let everyone and remind ourselves how we were feeling at a certain point in time? I don't want too many circumstances to change because I want to be able to give people credit for the last 4 months worth of work that they've been able to put in. And I can't wait to be able to do this with you, John. Are you ready?
Oh, brother, you know that this is like my favorite video series that we do. Because to me, it's just pure fandom. You know, it's not critique. It's not looking at what booking decisions are proper or this and that. It's just being like, these are the people that I just fucking love watching every week or however so often that you're able to catch them. Yep. And I will just say as a caveat to my list, no spoilers yet, but I will say an omission. There is no Johnny Mundo on this list for this installment because Lucha Underground hasn't been around the last few months, and I do not
you know what, I'm glad you brought that up because I did also want to address you guys. We were planning on doing a list for WWE, NXT, New Japan, and then replacing Lucha Underground with Progress, and then the only reason that we aren't doing Progress as a Fave 5 is because the only Progress content that we've been consuming is historical content, and we want to give people credit for recent work. We want this to, like I said, be basically a time capsule where we are able to give people credit for the work that they've done in between these episodes. So in between, you know, January 1st, I want to say, January 1st, 2018 and April 12th, 2018. So we basically have like 3.5 months in between these, and then we're going to have another 4 and a little bit in between this and the next one, and then another like 4 and a bit in between that one and the first 2019 one. So guys, I am really, really excited to be able to do this. I know John is too. Dude, we are, and you know what? Since I did mention we're not going to be doing Progress, obviously we're not doing Lucha Underground either. So what we did was we broke WWE's main roster down to 2. We have a separate Fave 5 now for Raw and Smackdown Live, and then we're also going to continue to do NXT, New Japan, and other. So John, I'm ready when you are.
Yeah, I addressed my my caveat. There will be no Johnny Mundo on this list, so I don't want any like shock from anybody. He's obviously my #1 overall always, but this is current stuff. So with that addressed, let's get to it. Where do you want to start, partner?
Well, I think we should start with the sort of the biggest name, the brand with the most eyes on it, and that would be Monday Night Raw. Do you want to start things off with honorable mentions, or would you like me to start us off?
I'll start off with honorable mentions because I feel like you usually start off, so I'll take a chance at this one.
All righty.
My honorable mentions: Sasha Banks.
Nice, same.
Bailey.
Okay.
Asuka.
I like it. Is she officially a Raw superstar, or is she now a SmackDown superstar?
From my understanding, dude, if she didn't win at WrestleMania, she was still going to be on Monday Night Raw. I thought commentary had that throwaway line one time. Plus, the bulk of her work the last few months has been on Raw anyway, so even by that criteria, I would count her as Raw. But that's just me. So Asuka, just to put her there, and if she wasn't there, she would have been my SmackDown one anyway. The Revival, Ember Moon.
Nice. I dig it. Thankfully, nobody that you named is actually in my Fave 5. That makes me very happy.
Nice. So who are in your honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions are a little bit different. I do have a couple of cruiserweights in my honorable mentions, and I even have a cruiserweight in my Fave 5, so spoiler alert on that. But my honorable mentions, I also have the Revival, Sasha Banks, and Ember Moon in my honorable mentions, but the rest of them are filled out by Cesaro.
Okay.
Woken Matt Hardy.
Nice.
The Miz.
All right.
Seth Rollins.
Okay.
Hideo Itami.
Okay.
And This really is more because of the Progress stuff, but he is technically a part of Monday Night Raw in the Cruiserweight. So I also have, as an honorable mention, Noam Dar.
Can I just address that very quickly? Because when I originally thought we were going to do Progress, Noam Dar was actually my number one. And the only reason I don't have him listed anywhere else is because he's been injured. And like,
yeah, I just threw him in there as an honorable mention because I'm really excited to see when he comes back, the kind of work that he's able to do. And obviously we haven't seen him for a while, but I'm still like, really, we have kind of used honorable mentions to talk about people that haven't necessarily shown up over that grading period, but we still are excited about. Like last time, I think I had Ricochet and Chris Dijak and the War Raiders in my honorable mention, even though they hadn't even debuted yet. So Noam Dar, even though he hasn't actually been on WWE or 205 television in sort of the grading period for this, the 3 months and a couple weeks that we've taken into account for this, the Progress stuff that we've seen him do got me excited enough to really just give him a name out there as an honorable mention.
You know what? You saying like using other that way, I just made a very quick addition to one of my other lists. So yeah, with that said, I guess we could start with the top 5 on the Raw side, right?
Absolutely. I'm really excited about this because my list is very, very, very different than what it was last time and really any other time we've done this, because I feel like my number one for the last few, if we would have done Raw only, my number one for the last few would have been who's going to end up being my number 5 on this one.
Ooh, okay. Well, that's exciting. I will say 2 of your honorable mentions were in my top 5.
Nice.
Which is very interesting to me. But just working backwards here, coming in at number 5, Finn Balor.
Okay. See, and I love Finn Balor, but whenever we do these Fave 5s, I always feel like it's guys that we're higher on than consensus, or performers, not just guys, performers that you or I are higher on than consensus. And with Balor, I love Finn, but I feel like I'm more like in the middle of the road as far as Finn Balor fandom goes. Like I like him, but I don't like him any more or less than the average fan, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like Balor's in-ring work is great. I will say that I do wish he was doing more. He seems a bit directionless right now. Like, I love everything he's doing with the inclusiveness, like Balor Club is for everyone and, stuff like that, and being with Anderson and Gallows. I do kind of wish that they were a heel team. This isn't, well, maybe this would kind of be tipping my hat for tomorrow because tomorrow's the big shakeup, so I won't say anything about what I hope the future for Balor is. But, I do think he could be doing more than what he is, and I just love watching him work. And his series of bouts with Seth Rollins, I think, have been fantastic. So, yeah, I really just had to give Finn the nod. He comes in at number 5 for me. So who cracks in at number 5 for you?
See, this is where things get interesting. This is like in, like an elimination chamber when the champion gets eliminated first, because number 5 for me is somebody that has been number 1 on my list before. And the last 2 times we've done this would have been number 1 of my Raw only list, but now he's only number 5. Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
Braun Strowman.
Damn, he took a steep fall. I mean, not hard enough because he still does crack your top 5. But that really says something. That's
and
really
it really does just come down to the relegation, because he went from the most entertaining, compelling thing on Raw every week to now all of a sudden he wants to be a tag champion by himself. And that could have been entertaining if they would have given him an interesting partner, but then he got a 10-year-old kid as his partner. And by the way, I saw a picture, and Nicholas is officially the youngest champion in WWE history, and it is in their record books, and it is on their website, and he beat out Rene Dupree. So, yeah, that's a thing.
Wow, that is crazy to think about, dude. Holy shit.
Yep.
All right.
I love Braun. And I really enjoyed his work. His overall body of work speaks for itself, but just over the last couple of months, he's fallen down a little bit for me.
Perfectly understandable, man. I totally get it.
So yeah. Is Braun on your list?
Here's the thing about that. Let me look it up. Yeah, he is. But I gotta tell you, if he keeps up on this trajectory the next few months, he may not even be on my list at all, because I hated that tag team shit. But yeah, no, I totally understand your reasoning.
Well, if he's on your list, I mean, where is he on your list? And yeah, you talk about Because remember,
he did come in at number one. He did come in at number one on my list because.
Oh, what? Wow.
Yeah, he's done so much that I've loved lately. I mean, the tag stuff was stupid, but
so it really is like, more just the overall body of work in the last few months.
Exactly. Well, I mean, that is essentially what I've always perceived as Fave 5 to be. Like, what person has gained momentum over these last few months? I mean, he dominated in the chamber, and I fucking loved it. Even some of the comedy stuff, you know, with Cesaro and Sheamus, I liked. Like, you know, oh, I'm Braun Strowman comes out in costume, and this is Brains, you know, and he beats him up, and I'm like, okay, well, that's clever. You know, but then when you really start reaching and you do shit like what he did with Nicholas and stuff, it's just so stupid. The stuff he did with Elias, you know, I thought that shit was great. I hit him with a piano. That's right. I said a piano. Like, you know, he can do comedy. I'm not saying Braun can never do comedy. It's just, but there's comedy and then there's just groans. And I just really felt like the stuff with Nicholas was groan worthy. But that was one event in a body of work that I feel like has been very strong, and I am still very much pulling for him to be Universal Champion. So Braun comes in number one for me. Yeah,
that's crazy though that he's fallen in my favor just enough that he's still on the list, but he's at the bottom of the list and not an honorable mention or anything, and that he's still that high for you. That's crazy cool though. I think that I'm just more fickle than you. I just like things that are new, and I think that Braun not only being around for a while, but also having really poor booking over the last couple months has just made him fall for me.
And then again, totally understandable. Totally understandable. So moving right along. Okay, so my number 5 was Balor. Number 1 was Braun Strowman. Coming in at number 4 was somebody that was in your honorable mentions, which I gotta be honest, I'm surprised that he was in your honorable mentions, given how much you've gone to bat for this dude, at least in my mind. Coming in at number 4 for me is The Miz.
Nice. I like that though. Yeah, that's great. And well, really with The Miz, like I love The Miz and he's always going to be somebody that I enjoy on television, but like he feels like he's in flux right now. He feels like his character is kind of in a state of like he still wants to be a douchebag heel so that he can get the heat and make other baby faces look good, but he's kind of got like the sympathetic thing going on because he's a father and he was kind of screwed over and as far as like he was putting that triple threat and stuff. And I think Miz will make my list next time we do it after SummerSlam. And I do see big things for him over the next few months. But as of right now, I feel like he's more of a sort of influx character. And I put that in my fave 5.
I need everybody to understand how significant it is that this man made my list at all outside of an honorable mention, because there was a time I fucking hated this dude. I'm just like, get him off my TV.
And it wasn't even like a getting worked by a good heel kind of hated. It was just full blown like, this guy isn't good. Get him off my television, like you were about to say.
Exactly. But like the conviction he speaks with, like The Miz has got to be one of the most passionate mid-card to like upper mid-card guys I've ever seen, because he's a mid-card guy and yet he makes you believe that like he's the fucking main event. Yeah. And there is something really powerful in that to me. Honestly, I feel like everything he said about the Intercontinental title and what he was going to do with it, to the best of his ability, because we know WWE is a bloated bureaucracy where it's like you really can't seem to get a lot done for your character personally. I feel like he made good on his promises. I really do. I hope, honestly, and I can't believe I'm saying this in 2018, but Seth Rollins, and we all know how fucking great he is, I hope he's able to keep up with The Miz. I really do, because I feel like, look, it's one thing to have a great match, but it's another thing to really sell everybody that you had a great match and that you're a great champion. Yeah. I think Miz really gets that this is a character industry first. And, you know, because you know what I've said, and you and I even had, I wouldn't say a full-blown discussion, but we had a few interesting remarks about this over a game of Rocket League, because we talk about, you know, the state commissions. And I always think it's silly because wrestling, you know, or pro wrestling, I should really emphasize that, isn't a legitimate sport. I've always likened it to theater. And with it being a form of theater to me, I don't think you're going to get a better performer in that context than The Miz. He is just fucking amazing. I don't know if he'll ever be my full-blown fave on Monday Night Raw because I am colored by other biases, and I can admit that. But this is a guy that if he is not in the main event scene within the next few months, you are seriously fucking doing it wrong. And yeah, I'm really stoked that we live in an age where he could be in my fave 5 of anything, because man, you have come a long way if that's the case. Great work.
Absolutely. I dig it, man. I dig it. Miz has been absolutely fire on the mic for a long time now. Really, a couple of years, I would say. I mean, he's decent on the mic. And I shouldn't even say always, but he's been at least decent on the mic for a while now. I can't say always because there was that hoorah phase.
Yeah.
But for a while, at least, he's been pretty damn good on the mic. But he has been really in a stride for the last like year and a half to 2 years at least.
Hell yeah. You know, and it's so funny because I remember a time when we were still early in TWitWoW and Stephanie had that scorching promo on him where she's like, the problem with you, Miz, was that you peaked too early. And you and I were laughing our asses off at that. Like, yeah, he really did. And this and that. And look at what's happened now. This guy has found a second win, and I think he has never been better than what he is right now. This is a Miz to me that is not only ready for a main event run, but he could hold the Universal title, and I wouldn't blink. I would not raise an eyebrow about it. I wouldn't blink about it. I would believe it readily. He's that good right now. So, yeah, I'm curious who number 4 is on your Fave 5 list.
Number 4 on my Fave 5 list is Buddy Murphy.
Yes, dude. You've been a Buddy Murphy advocate for so long. It's perfect. I love it.
And I believe this is the first time that I've ever had a WWE cruiserweight on one of my Fave 5 lists ever. This is the first time this has ever happened, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's the only one to ever do it. Although NXT, or not NXT, 205 really has made strides in presentation, in match style, in all that great stuff. I love Drake Maverick as their GM, and Buddy Murphy finally getting the chance to show the world how damn great he is in that ring has really gotten me excited about his future, the future 205 Live as a brand. I saw he just attacked Cedric Alexander on Tuesday, basically effectively turning heel in the process, which is what I've wanted for him the entire time. And I just love the dude. He cuts great promos. He's got a ridiculous shredded body right now with him getting down to under 205 pounds. He's got ridiculous athleticism. He can do a 450. He can do a shooting star. He's really, really one of the guys that I've hitched my wagon to for years now. And even going back to when he was in Australia as Matt Silva, I was kind of one of the people in the US that was really kind of hitching my wagon to him before he really even found himself on NXT television yet. And I love you and I both, everyone that we are, you know, constantly in communication with seem to really love the team of Blake and Murphy. We absolutely adored Blake and Murphy, and then Blurfexa when it was, you know, Blake Murphy and Alexa Bliss. And I think you and I have always kind of agreed that Murphy was the star of that group. And I mean, Alexa has kind of turned out to be a star in her own right. And man, he's proven it every freaking week on 205 Live when he gets in between those ropes. He is so damn good. I love Buddy Murphy. And this, like I say, man, this is a list of our guys that we kind of, you know, appreciate more than we believe others do. And Buddy Murphy has got to be on my list if that's the criteria.
No, dude, I'm smiling so big right now because this is precisely why I love 5 You have gone to bat for Murphy for years. And I can't say as much about the dude because, again, I wasn't the one going up at that. But I will say everything you say is true. He is an insanely talented dude. And I can't tell you how happy it makes me that a guy like that, because here, if I'm being truthful, right, one of my biggest fears about guys like that is I'm gonna go on no DQ. I'm gonna go on some site one day and I'm gonna see that they're released. And that's not such a death blow anymore because I think the indie scene is in a very healthy place right now, thankfully. But you know, you always try and empathize with the person, and you're like, well, they went to WWE because they wanted to succeed in WWE, not in Ring of Honor or New Japan or whatever. So to know that like he wasn't on TV so long, and I'm thinking, man, are those papers coming? And then they find a place for him on 205 Live, and he's really taking advantage of it. And the crowd seems responsive to him, and now he's heel. I honestly hope, like, if him and Cedric are going to be on Backlash Kickoff, which would be nice if they were on the main card, either way, I hope they get time. And I really do hope they get time to tell a decent story because I think him and Cedric could make magic together. And I'm really happy for this dude that he's getting the opportunity. It just shows that if you keep your nose to the grindstone, even if you're not on TV and you're putting in the work outside of it, you'll get your moment. I think guys like him and Mike Bennett have kind of proven that recently. So I really do wish him the best, and it makes me so happy that he made your list, dude. That's really cool.
Woohoo! All right, well, we've gotten number 5 and number 4 for both of us. I'm curious now, who is your number 3?
God, my only regret is that I felt like it would have been unfair to put this guy higher, but I had to. Samoa fucking Joe.
Dude, both of us. I have Joe at number 3 as well.
Do you want to go first, or should I?
No, we both have him at 3. You're going first. Go.
He's amazing. I love.
Dude, it's so great because he hasn't been around for so long, but he just shows up on Monday and cuts that promo and everyone put on your tinfoil hats because Roman thinks there's a conspiracy.
The way he says that word, the way Joe says words in general, which is funny because I just mocked Charlotte with the very same sentence, but tone is everything. You can hear the tone in my voice. Like, I love the way Joe says words, whereas with Charlotte, it's like, my God, if my ears could commit suicide, they would. This man is incredible. And honestly, like, I am so saddened that he has had, you know, this kind of unfortunate string of luck with, like, injuries and this and that. That's not me saying he's injury prone. Shit happens, especially in an industry like this. I hate, and I'm not going to let it go until it's rectified. You know, and it would have to be rectified at Mania 35. Joe has missed 2 straight Manias, and that kills me inside.
Yeah.
This is a guy, to me, I would like to think that, like you being a Buddy Murphy guy, I would like to think I've been a Samoa Joe fan for a good while. Even when TNA was dying, like, yep. I stood by Joe. I even stood by
Buddy. I'll definitely give you that credit that you've always been higher on Joe than I have been. And it's funny because now that he's on the main roster, I feel like in our last Fave 5's video, I actually had Joe ranked a little bit higher than you in our WWE Fave 5. So now we've got him ranked equal. So you're now that's swinging the other way. Now I'm starting to value him a little higher than you, but now we're back on the backswing where you're kind of meeting me at our value of him.
Dude, that promo he cut on Roman, I must have watched that shit. I mean, not as much as, say, the Avengers Infinity War trailer, but I've watched it a good handful of times.
And that makes you a failure.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I love it. And you're still lying because every time you get in the ring with Brock Lesnar, you get jacked up. Like, this man, I said with Miz earlier, and this is something that I'm coming to find about myself, Ashton, that I really like in a performer, and I'm only just now realizing it. I love the people in an age where, like, the truth in Coquina Clutch, air quotes, is a click away. I love the people that can speak with conviction in spite of all the bullshit. Because we live in such an age, right, where it's so hard to, like, buy into it and to give yourself to it. And it's something that I'm admittedly, it's very hard, as evidenced by Supercard of Honor yesterday. But I am trying to get back to that, to just give myself into this experience. And with guys like Miz and Joe, it takes so little, if any, effort. Because when he speaks, like, I fucking believe it. That's why I was excited for Great Balls of Fire when he faced Lesnar, because I could believe that he could beat Brock Lesnar. And in this day and age, that's fucking rare. I want this man to be Universal Champion. If I'm realistic, I could see him at best maybe in his WWE tenure as a multi-time Intercontinental Champion. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. But of course, you know, when you're like me and you are the markiest of marks, you want everything for your guy, as you'll see later when we get to other sections of this list.
Yeah, before we do talk about that, though, I wanted to ask you, dude, has Joe won any titles on the main roster yet?
No, he's only a 2-time NXT champion, and that's all. And first ever Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic winner with Finn Balor. But that's it. Those are all his WWE accolades at present. And this dude is so fucking good. And you know, I love that he hasn't slowed down because you know, that's another thing. Like, we're never going to see him do a muscle buster in a WWE ring again, probably, because they got rid of it, and he does that Uranagi Slam. The Coquina Clutch is legit as hell. Him choking out Paul Heyman is still one of the funniest fucking things. Joe, you're crowding me. Like, this dude doesn't give a fuck, and I love it. And honestly, it really says something that he's going to probably face. Well, regardless, he's facing Reigns at Backlash, whether he wins at Greatest Rumble or not. And whether it's for the Universal title or not, I'm kind of leaning towards Reigns winning that match early because it's fucking Roman and he needs to go on his redemption tour. But I don't care because it's Joe, and it's going to be, you know, a great, you know, Joe match at the very least. And I'm Really looking forward to it. I miss Joe so much, and I can't tell you how happy I am that I get to really witness him again. And the best way I can express it is he's fucking number 3 on my list. And give him time. If he stays healthy and he goes on the run that I really want him to, he may be number 1 soon enough. Like, this dude is fucking legit. So
I'm hoping he is. I'm hoping he becomes your number 1 because his work on the mic is definitely, I would argue, top 5 in the company right now. I wouldn't quite put him on that same level as The Miz, but there is a very, very short list of other names that I would put, or that I wouldn't put him above other than Miz. And really, you could probably make an argument for him being there at number 2 behind The Miz. You know what I mean?
Absolute conspiracy. Oh my God. Is there anything you want to add since Joe was also your number 3, or did you want to go straight into your number 2?
No, it really does come down to just being so excited to have him back. He cut that promo on Roman. That was great. I can't wait for his match with Roman at Backlash. That's going to be wonderful. I hope he dominates. I don't expect him to win, but if he does, it'll be that much more of a bonus. I don't know if he's going to be at the Greatest Royal Rumble, but I don't really care because
apparently he's in that IC title ladder match that they're having. So it's like a 4-way.
Okay. Well, there you go. And yeah, I just love Joe. So I'm so glad that we both this time around gave Joe a proper amount of respect. But I'm
just going to add one more thing with Joe. I highly doubt it'll happen, but I would love, I guess you could call this my new campaign since I did it for Owens. Joe Money in the Bank 2018. I'd fucking
yeah, that's interesting though. I see. I've got like Miz. I think Miz is the most likely Money in the Bank winner because I don't think Miz has ever. Oh no, yeah, he did the one time. He held Money in the Bank once, I think. But
yeah, he did. I wouldn't mind him being a 2-time winner though. No, guys like Joe, Miz, just really, I'm really looking forward to Money in the Bank this year. I look forward to it every year. And so
I think my 2 favorites to win Money in the Bank this year are Miz and Elias.
Oh, dude, Elias. God, I don't even want to think about your mom's reactions if Elias wins Money in the Bank. Holy shit.
We got to get her fave 5s.
We do. We really do. It's like Elias, then his real name, then any other names that she would have for him is number 5.
Yeah.
But
Elias, then the Drifter, then Elias Sampson. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I consider that my Owens campaign for the year. What was that?
El Vagabundo.
Yeah, there you go. But no, consider that my my Owens campaign for the year, Joe Money in the Bank 2018. Like, it's fucking time. He really needs to take heads off and be world champion. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Well, since Joe is both of our number 3s, and I actually have 2 guys left to say, and you already have it out there that Braun Strowman is your number 1. I'll say my number 2, then you say your number 2, then I'll finish things off with my number 1 so that I don't have to go 2 times in a row.
Okay.
And we might even have the same number 2, actually, now that I'm looking at the gaps in here. So my number,
I don't think so, because I think the guy I have number 2, again, was somebody that you had in your honorable mentions. So
oh, okay. Then you didn't, I don't think you even gave this guy an honorable mention. Then Elias is my number 2.
You're right. I didn't even give him an honorable mention, but I should have because his work really has been ace. But hey, you called it. You called your shot. So please go ahead. Praise Elias.
I freaking love Elias, man. He is an amazing, just charismatic figure at this point. Like, he is an enigma. It's gotten to the point that he is sort of that attraction type act where people will pay money just to get shit on by Elias, just to get their hometown shit on by Elias. Like, I'm going to pay money to hear Elias call me a scumbag, and then I love him so much, I'm going to chant, yeah, I am a scumbag, right back at him. We've literally just saw that happen on Monday. And Elias, like, they're putting him in such a great spot because he doesn't even need to wrestle, which I think he's a really good wrestler. I think Elias is like 80% of what you expect from Luke Harper in the ring. Like, he's really good. Like, he really does remind me of Luke Harper in the ring, and the fact that he really does wrestle like a big man. Like, he wrestles like a monster heel, and like, he just refuses to go down and that kind of stuff. And I love his style. He throws knee strikes that are great. Like, I freaking love Elias, man. I think in the ring, he might be one of the most underrated guys in the company right now. And obviously his character and his mic work are both just exceptional. And what I also love too, we saw, and this might have really kind of catapulted him above Joe for me on Monday, his improvisation ability is crazy good. And the reason I say that is because he didn't know that that crowd was going to start clapping to his song. He couldn't have possibly predicted that. And he still managed to work that into his song and rhyme it while saying he wanted to punch them all in the faces. I love this man. He is exactly what the WWE needs right now. He is charismatic. He has a great look. He's bigger. He's good in the ring. And he's got improvisational skills. Sign me the hell up. Elias is exceptional, and he had to be high on my list.
Brother, first of all, and I don't do this often given my hubris, but I made a mistake. You know, not even having this man in my honorable mentions was a crime because he is every bit as talented.
Who are your honorable mentions again? I know you had Sasha, The Revival, and Ember Moon. Who else did you have in your honorable mentions?
I had Bailey on there because I've been loving her work as of late, and Asuka because Asuka. But yeah, you know what? A late addition, Elias should definitely be on my honorable mentions because everything you said was the truth. And I'm going to say this again, too, just to kind of add on to your point, because we've had plenty of conversations about this, and I know we've talked about this before on the podcast. I really have to kind of laugh at people a little bit that are like, oh, Elias isn't a great worker, when I feel like their definition is a bit skewed because we live in an era where, like, you know, to use a Kevin Nash term, like the vanilla midgets and the flips and stuff, that's what really gets over. And I love how Elias works, especially because he's a heel. This dude is fantastic. And again, beyond the in-ring work, just like I say for The Miz, Elias has a great character. And you're going to hear me say that for a lot of these guys. Some of these guys, I really will prioritize the in-ring work because I love it so much, but, you know, what have you. To me, I said it once and I'll say it again, I want Elias and Seth to feud this summer. I really do. Elias eliminated Seth in that gauntlet match after he had such a great performance. I felt like Elias eliminating him got him a good amount of heat. I want Elias to start wearing gold, but this may be a gimmick that transcends all championships. You know, he's so over right now and he's getting such a response that, you know, I feel like if any belt was given to him, he would just naturally elevate it, which is what you should aim to do with your championships, is to elevate them. But I really hope this guy has a productive 2018 because you're right. I think he is still underrated in some circles. I think he can back up every bit of praise that we give him. And yeah, like this is one guy that I feel like has done so much better on the main roster than he ever did in NXT, which probably makes him even more special because the inverse is usually true.
Yeah. And you know what else is beautiful is that he doesn't have the Damian Sandow problem. We saw Damian Sandow basically get exposed in his first long match on the main roster. It was a main event match against John Cena, of all people. And he was basically exposed because once he ran out of stuff, quote unquote, rather than showing us other things that we haven't seen from him before, he kept repeating the same shit that we've already seen.
Right.
And that tells you immediately, like, oh my God, this guy isn't even that good of a wrestler. He just has cool scripted shit that he goes into every match prepared to do. Elias has already debunked that possibility because he's had great longer matches against both John Cena and Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns is the kind of guy who will not bring middling in-ring talents up to a higher level. He is a guy that will wrestle to somebody's level, and that's it. If you're a bad wrestler, you'll have a bad match with Roman Reigns. If you're a great wrestler, you'll have a great match with Roman Reigns. And Elias versus Roman was a great match. So what does that tell you about Elias?
Enough said. Yeah, just like that, man. Beautiful. Freaking
all right,
beautiful.
Now we're getting to your number two. We already know your number one is Braun. Who fills the gap between Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman? Who is your number two?
Only one man could do it, at least as far as Monday Night Raw goes. Seth freaking
Rollins. I love it. Yes.
He is so good. And I'm glad that, like, this current, I don't even want to say it's like a character shift, but we've got a Seth Rollins that does old Dolph Ziggler better than Dolph Ziggler used to do it, and that's stealing the show. Like, this guy is just going out there, leaving it all out there, and he's got the Intercontinental title for his troubles, which I feel like is a good spot for him. I obviously would have had alternative plans. We'll kind of explore that more tomorrow, so you guys are really going to want to be, when we go live at 7 p.m. tomorrow, here for our mock Superstar Shakeup, because we're going to be talking about a lot of shit.
John's alternative plans so much better than alternative facts.
Exactly. I mean, that right there is all you need to hear. But yeah, I haven't even made my list yet, folks, but I've mentally mapped it out, and this guy is a key part of all of it. To me, Seth has a likability factor, and he backs it up in the ring where, like, yeah, he is just this amazing baby face, and I love his fire, and I love his passion, and I love that he'll go out there, and I love the promo with Kurt Angle. I don't want to be a part of Monday Night Raw. I want to be Monday Night Raw. And you could tell, like, every member of the Shield, well, you know, Dean and Seth, I can believe. Roman, I'm not even so sure anymore. But, like, you know that they want to be the guy. They want to really dominate and do all that stuff. And I feel like Roman's work as of late has been absolutely exceptional. Again, I mentioned with Finn earlier, you know, the matches with Seth. Well, it takes two to tango. So if I'm giving Finn that praise also goes to Seth. Like, I feel like they've just been absolutely incredible. Now that he's got the curb stomp back, he feels complete. You know, between that and the Revolution knee, I'm loving Rollins' moveset right now. Again, like, he even had the Grand Slam Rollins promo recently. I thought that was a very straightforward promo, but, you know, great babyface effectiveness. And yeah, I'd like to get this guy in more storylines with more meat on them besides, oh, you have this thing I want and I'm pursuing it. You know, like, I feel like the last really great rivalry he had honestly was the Triple H rivalry, because that was so personal. Like, oh, Seth, you could never be the guy. You're defective. You know, you're broken down. And Seth, for him, it's about redemption. You know, I like those grand stories. I know you can't get grand stories all the time, but I hope Seth has a few more, like, in the tank for this year. You know, one thing I've been talking about is I really want him to feud with Dean Ambrose. But yeah, anytime Seth's on my TV, it commands my attention. It puts a smile on my face. And I do want this guy to be world champion again, you know, and really have a nice babyface run with it. So yeah, I freaking love Seth Rollins, and he's number 2 on my list. So that rounds out Raw for me.
I love it, man. That's great. I'm so glad that your Seth fandom is really reigning supreme.
Absolutely, dude. And it was kind of waiting.
I'm kind of honestly disappointed that you didn't put Seth and or Joe above Strowman at this time.
Dude, like, Seth, I feel like would have had a more arguable place usurping Strowman than Joe, because Joe just came back. And, like, I couldn't ignore the impulse to even put him on my Fave 5, so I thought 3 was, like, an agreeable place. But, I mean, you could make an argument that, yes, Seth could just topple Braun, and he very well might. I mean, I'm loving that he's an Intercontinental Champion. Again, not exactly the route I would have gone with him necessarily, but if WWE wants to reestablish it as, like, this prestigious title, this workhorse title, like, ain't nobody more of a workhorse right now than Seth freaking Rollins. So we'll see what happens.
All right. So for those of you just joining us, I know we have at least 2 people that literally just joined us in chat. I'm going to do a quick recap. John's honorable mentions were Sasha Banks, The Revival, Ember Moon, Bayley, Asuka, and Elias. My honorable mentions were The Revival, Cesaro, Sasha Banks, Ember Moon, Woken, Matt Hardy, The Miz, Seth Rollins, Hideo Itami, and Noam Dar. John's Fave 5, Finn Balor, number 5, The Miz, number 4, Samoa Joe, number 3, Seth Rollins, number 2, and Braun Strowman, number 1. My Fave 5, Braun Strowman, number 5, Buddy Murphy, number 4, Samoa Joe, number 3, Elias, number 2, and I'm about to reveal my number 1. Are you ready for this, John?
No, that's because oh God, I'm ready for this. I'm pumped. Who is it?
I don't think anyone's ready for this, and I genuinely think people are going to think I'm joking, but I'm not joking. Are you ready?
I don't even know if I'm ready with that.
This is not a joke. I want to clarify. This is not a joke. This is genuinely the performer or act that has entertained me the most over the last 3.5 months on Monday Night Raw. Here we go.
Okay, who is it? Oh, what?
You damn right. John Cena is number 1 on my Monday Night Raw Fave 5, and I'm not kidding. His work for the last 3.5 months has been freaking exceptional.
Holy fuck. That's
I know,
huge.
dude. I know.
I love it, though.
But yes, John Cena is number 1.
I love it, though. Oh, my. No, dude, take it away, because I won't even be able to add anything. I'm so shell-shocked. Oh, my God.
His work over the last 3.5 months has been amazing. He has been absolutely killing it on the mic. He is my favorite thing on every episode of Raw. He has the best segment on every Monday Night Raw to me. He is the thing I look most forward to every Monday night. He selflessly sacrificed himself to The Undertaker on Raw or on WrestleMania in a 5-minute squash match to make The Undertaker go out on top at WrestleMania to basically salvage his legacy. John Cena, we don't deserve this man. WWE does not deserve this man. He is the biggest draw in the company. He is the biggest star in the company. I don't care what people think about Brock Lesnar. Lesnar doesn't bump ratings as much as Cena does. Lesnar doesn't bump house show sales as much as Cena does. Cena is the biggest freaking name in the company. Cena's branching out into movies. I loved Ferdinand. I don't care what people say. I can't wait to go see Blockers, and I probably won't actually go see it, but I can't wait to see it when it finally hits Blu-ray and DVD. I just think he's been great, man. I just love John Cena's work. He's had great matches. He had that great match with Elias. That might not have even been this year, but he had that great match with Elias. You know, he had a great match with AJ Styles. He was great in the Elimination Chamber. I've just loved everything Cena's done. Cena's been freaking amazing for the last 3.5 months, so I had to give him the credit I felt he deserved. He's number 1 on my Fave 5.
I love it. I can't even add anything to that. I love it. This is fucking great. You ready for Smackdown?
I am ready for Smackdown, yes. And another big reason I had to put Cena on there was because I feel like he's getting a lot of hate lately. People, you know, bitching about how, oh, you sound desperate. You're so pathetic. But like, that's literally what his character is. And he's doing an amazing job at portraying it. So yeah, just more props from me to John Cena because he's that damn good.
All right. Dude, I fucking love Fave. This is why this is my favorite series that we do. But all right. Honorable mentions for SmackDown Live. You want to talk about lists changing?
Well, now hang on a second, John. You went first last time. I want to go first this time.
Oh, okay. All right, you got it, partner.
Here are my honorable mentions, and like you said, you want to talk about lists changing. Number 1 on my WWE Fave 5 last time we did this, was AJ Styles.
Right.
AJ Styles is an honorable mention for me on SmackDown Live right now.
Wow.
Between him, in my opinion, holding the title for too long, being booked as kind of overpowered as far as just his ability to miraculously overcome 2-on-1 confrontations, and his promo work really going into a much more generic babyface direction, he's fallen off for me, and I still appreciate his work, and I know his matches are still great, but I had to drop him off my Fave 5 into the honorable mentions category. However, the other honorable mentions that I had were Carmella, the Bludgeon Brothers, New Day, Fashion Police, and Ty Dillinger. Those are my honorable mentions. Now, who are yours?
Now, I will say, because we did things a little bit differently this time around, and we have Raw and SmackDown segregated, the guy that was number 1 for me last time is actually in my honorable mentions this time as well. One of my first honorable mentions is Chad Gable. So nice. He fell off pretty steeply. Sharing the space with Chad Gable are the Iconics, Daniel Bryan, and AJ Styles. So those are all my honorable mentions.
I can already tell you that 2 of those entities are in my Fave 5.
Okay. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Who came in at number 5 for you on your SmackDown Live list?
Number 5 for me on my SmackDown Live list was Becky Lynch, the Irish last kicker. I don't really care that she hasn't done a ton on SmackDown television. I've enjoyed her pay-per-view work over the last few months. She was really good in the Royal Rumble. She was really good in the Women's Rumble on WrestleMania. And I just love her personality and her promos and the fact that she is, I would argue, she is the best talker among the females in the WWE main roster or NXT, doesn't matter. I would put her among the top 5 or 10 talkers in the entire company, regardless of gender. And her social media game is on point as well. She just put out a great Twitter video talking about how great the quinoa was in catering and that she was distracted by that. And that's why she didn't help Charlotte on Tuesday. And also, even if that's not true, thank you, Becky, for not helping Charlotte on Tuesday, whether it was on purpose or not. And yeah, I just think that Becky, and also I think that Becky is in store for a bit of a major push now because we have a heel champion on SmackDown, and all of the women that have been built up as title contenders other than Becky have been heels. So I expect Becky to get pushed now into title contention, and I'm excited about that.
Absolutely, because it's where she belongs.
And I'm also going to start a new campaign right here, right now. Becky Lynch for Women's Money in the Bank 2018.
Yes, he's part of it. He's part of it. No, I love it, dude. That's great because that really is where Becky belongs. I agree with you about her social media usage, which I'm going to praise a star later on our list for that exact same quality. She's so likable. She's great on the mic. One of the best in-ring workers, if not, just one of the best in-ring worker in the women's division, and just one of the best overall. And yeah, she's freaking phenomenal, dude. I love that Becky is on your list at number 5.
All right, so now who is your number 5, my friend?
I believe I can tell you for certainty number 5 on my list was an honorable mention last time, so they got promoted. There are actually a few promotions for me this time around that I'm excited to talk about, this being one of them. Coming in at number 5, the Usos.
Yes!
Freaking love the Usos.
Since you brought it up, the Usos are number 4 on my SmackDown Live Fave 5. So we both have them on our Fave 5s. You have them at number 5. I have them at number 4. Go ahead and tell us why you love the Usos, brother.
Dude, their mic work is on point. Like, that's the thing. Their matches are entertaining enough. I mean, yeah, sometimes I giggle thinking, wow, you guys really do think you're the Young Bucks with all the super kicks. But honestly, like, if you were to ask me what's your favorite part of the Usos, I wouldn't even say the matches. I would say whenever they have a microphone in their hands. Because, like, they just command my attention. And again, I go back to, they speak with a certain conviction. Like, I really do believe there's a difference between the performers that are just reading lines and those that, like, say shit and you're like, oh, well, okay, if he says he's going to do it, well, then, hot damn, hard be it for me to tell him no. And that's the Usos. Like, when they talk about the hustle and what they had to sacrifice and what they had to do just to get 5 minutes on the Mania card. I mean, obviously, they haven't talked about that yet. They just wanted to be on Mania, period. So believable to me. The aesthetic of just, day one-ish is just really on point. Even if they are a synthesis of the Briscoe brothers and the Young Bucks, there's nothing new under the sun. So I'm not going to persecute them for it because I guarantee you the Briscoes were influenced by somebody and the Young Bucks were influenced by people, so that's hardly a knock. I think they do it really well. I love these guys. I don't think they've ever been better. And they've been around for several years now at this point, but I don't think they've ever been better than what they are right now. And honestly, like, I don't know, with the shakeup being next week, I feel like no matter what happens with them, they'll succeed because they understand their characters now and whether they're champions or challengers. I just think it's a fun time. So Usos at number 5 for me. They were at number 4 for you, though. So if there's anything I missed, because, I mean, obviously you're higher on them than me, anything you would like to say?
Yeah, the main reason that I have the Usos at number 4 is because I wanted to put them higher, and I was underwhelmed by their match at WrestleMania. So it's like they were going to be like 3 or 2, but then I felt like their match at WrestleMania was really underwhelming. And then their match, I believe they had a match on SmackDown against the New Day, and I felt like they were kind of regressing a little bit in the ring, kind of back to where they were before they initially turned heel, when they were these like generic good guy baby face guys that thought they were the Young Bucks throwing super kicks every 2 seconds. And that's the only reason I knocked them down to 4. I think they had them at 3, and then I knocked them down to 4 because I was just underwhelmed by the WrestleMania and SmackDown performances. And I'm hoping that they pick things back up. But for now, I think their mic work salvages any in-ring issues that they might have because they are incredible on the mic. They play off of each other incredibly well, which makes sense because they're freaking twins. And I love kind of the style of promos that they do, where every now and then they'll do like the list promos where they'll be like, name 1, locked up, name 2, locked up. And they do it like, and the way they get the crowd interacting with them is so great. And really, I feel like they found themselves on SmackDown, and I just worry that they're going to start, now that they are officially like good guy baby faces, I worry that they're going to stop acting the way that they've been for the last year and a half and just kind of forget that they had a character shift and regress to their pre-heel turn characters. And that's like my biggest concern.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally understandable. I'm just glad that we can both show this tag team love. So with that said, who is next on your list, amigo?
Oh, the Usos were number 4 on my list, so I'm curious who number 4 on your list was.
Oh yeah, I guess it is back to me because yeah, you did have a number 4. Coming in at number 4 for me. Oh god, Shinsuke, protect your balls before I uppercut them, Nakamura.
Yes, dude. And again, you've got someone on your list that I've got on my list, except my Nakamura ranking, I've got him at number 2.
Dude, you need to go first then if he's that high for you.
Dude, I absolutely love this man post heel turn. Yes, he was doing really good work as a babyface and started to really win over the more casual audiences, I feel like, with, you know, the whole need a face and telling AJ that he's too emotional and patting him on the head and all that kind of stuff. But then when he low blowed AJ at WrestleMania and beat the shit out of him and did the Kinshasa to him on the outside, and then on SmackDown, when Renee Young starts really drilling and being like, listen, dude, we know you're being disingenuous. Why did you do what you did? He's just like, sorry, no speak English. And that was just incredible. And then his new setup move to the Kinshasa is literally a low blow into an amateur style wrestling throw. I love it, man. It's gold. He's like, I think he's going to be better on the mic as a heel because he's not going to have to pander as much. I think he's going to be way more compelling in the ring as a heel because he's going to be able to do some dirty shit. I just am so excited about heel Nakamura going forward. And that excitement is what kind of drove him up my list all the way up to number 2.
Dude, this man's magnificent to me.
I love Dragon Man in chat. Nads Shoryuken.
Yes. I know that as time progresses, this guy will be higher on my list when we do 555's number 5. But like for now, this really is primarily driven by the heel turn, of which we've only gotten a slight taste. I don't think he was bad as a babyface. I do think, though, he was badly booked as a babyface, and there is a difference. You can still perform really well despite being service chicken shit, as CM Punk's career, I'm sure, is indicative of.
Yeah.
But as a heel thus far, I think he's been magnificent. Just seeing AJ's sheer agony at knowing that his yam bags have just been rattled by a vicious uppercut just really makes me happy inside. And then his dismissiveness, like even Renee says, Shinsuke, clearly you're being disingenuous. Like, sorry, me no speak English. Like, oh my God, so good. I love that he just throws the stereotype back in people's faces. Like, oh, you all want to love me? I you know, and then I'm just going to be like this. And then, oh God, the knee. And honestly, I don't think this is going to happen, but I fucking loved Nita Strauss's rendition of his theme at WrestleMania. I've found a really clean version of it. It's not like 100% clean, but it's the best one out there, I think. And I've listened to it nonstop. I would love for that to be his heel theme, but I'm not holding on to any such expectations. I really do hope that he's the next WWE champion. I see so many possibilities with a heel Nakamura with the title. And yeah, dude, I fucking love it. Don't stop uppercutting balls, Shinsuke. It's what you were born to do, bud. So yeah, he came in at number 4 for me, came in at number 2 for you. So does that mean, do I get to give number 3 then, or do you get to give number 4 now, right?
Well, here's the situation. You have 3 slots left, and I know for a fact that none of them are on my list. And I have 2 slots left, and I know for a fact that neither one of them are on your list. So based on that, you are going to have to go twice at some point. The question is, would you rather go twice now, or would you rather go twice listing your number 2 than 1 consecutively?
I'll go twice now. So what would that be? Giving my 3 and 2 then, right?
Your number, no, going twice now would be you going immediately after you already just gave your number 4, which is your number 3 now. So
all right, my number 4 or my number
No, your number 3.
Yeah, sorry, I misspoke there because we've been talking a lot of numbers here. My number 3 is the guy that brings the darkness, the lone wolf.
Baron wow! Corbin. Yes, he just has a permanent spot on your list, and that absolutely blows my mind. I absolutely love it.
Dude, I love what an asshole this man is. Like, I love that he doesn't give a fuck about you, me, or even this thing called wrestling. Like, I'm actually low-key scared that if I was a fan, like when WCW was like dominating, I would have had like a Kevin Nash poster in my room. because he does like have that Kevin Nash quality to me a little bit. And the way he uses Twitter, which this wasn't the guy that I was alluding to when I was going to like copy paste your compliment to Becky Lynch. That's for somebody else. But the way he does use social media is legitimately funny. Like how he's been dragging Meltzer in star ratings. Guys, there's a dream match happening at this live event. Me versus AJ Styles. There aren't enough stars in the sky to rate it. And I'm like, oh, Baron, your hairline may be receding, but my love for you isn't. Yeah, man. You know, I feel like he's starting to be booked with a bit more credibility again. I mean, yes, he didn't win the armbar, but he came in the final two, and it really took like 2 guys to eliminate him. So I feel like that was their idea of protecting him. The End of Days, I still think, is one of the best finishers in WWE right now. And
I love that he can hit it on bigger guys because we saw him hit it on Bray Wyatt at the armbar.
Dude, that made me fucking pop when he took Bray out. I'm like, yeah. Honestly, you know, I've seen some like internet people comment like, oh, just put Baron on Raw. He's useless anyway. I wish Raw took guys like Baron Corbin seriously, because then I could get legit psyched about a Baron Roman Reigns feud, or hell, even if you had the balls like Baron getting in the ring with Brock Lesnar and hitting an End of Days on him. If he would hit an End of Days on Brock Lesnar, I'd cream my fucking pants. Like, this dude is great. He really seems to shine too in multi-man matches. Like his performance in the SmackDown 5-way and then at Fastlane, he really thrived there. And I think it's even kind of become a Corbin trope, because I've noticed other people comment that too. I think he has one of the best themes in the company. So his packaging, I think, is really on point. And whatever doghouse he was in, like I said, I think he's slowly starting to come out of it. And I just love him, man. I love that he thinks he's the shit. And even if you could be breathless trying to convince him otherwise, he doesn't care. Because, I mean, to him, you're just a dirty mark. And he's Baron Corbin. And that's really all that matters. And you know what? I adore him for that. I really do. He's the douche that we should all aspire to be. So, number 3, Baron Corbin.
I love it, man. I love it. And I think you're going to love my number 3, because my number 3 was one of your honorable mentions.
Okay. Okay. Who is it?
The Iconics.
Yes. Take it away, bud.
They're just so great, man. I love their social media videos. I love how much they annoy Hideo Itami and Johnny Gargano. I love that they cost Charlotte the women's championship. Like, that immediately lands you on my fave 5s, even if I don't think you're the best performer. And with them, it just so happens that I think they're both amazing performers. So it's doubling down on the amazingness. And really just the fact that they're finally here on the main roster and their debut was such a massive success. I'm just so excited for where they're going to go on SmackDown Live. And I'm assuming they are going to stay on SmackDown Live, because typically people who debut on the post-Mania Raw don't end up getting shaken up then the week after. It's kind of an inconsistency there. But man, as unfortunate as the awkward name change is, because like, why add the letter I to the beginning of the word Iconics when there are already 2 I's in that word to begin with?
Yeah, that is a bit weird to me. But you know,
like, why couldn't you just? Because I think the whole thing is like they wanted to have Billy and Peyton's silhouettes in the eyes, but why couldn't they just do that with the I before the C in Iconic, and then the I between the second C and the N in Iconic? I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense. But regardless, I will get used to the name change. The Iconic duo isn't something that you can copyright, I don't think. So the name change was probably inevitable, unfortunately, but still, they're both such great performers. I think Billie Kay is going to get really underrated because Peyton Royce has the more traditional, you know, babe looks going on for her. I think that more people are going to find her to be the hot one. So naturally, she's going to get more shine from the IWC. Billie Kay, though, is a master of improvisational comedy. And I think eventually over time, people will kind of view Billie Kay in the same light that they view Becky Lynch in. Whereas maybe Peyton will kind of take on more of like the Sasha Banks role, where she's this great worker that gives people their best matches and can talk and stuff like that. So I just love the Iconics. I think they're great. But John, now that you know who my number 3 is, and we already know who my number 2 is, let's find out who your number 2 is. I am so curious.
Well, I love this series. I was super pumped to do it today, but what made it even more special was that it landed on Rusev Day.
Of course. Oh my God, I should have known. I can't believe I didn't know.
Rusev is my number 2, which may shock some people because with how I talk about him, you'd think he was my number 1, but we're not quite there yet. This dude's fucking incredible. I do worry about his future because it came out today that he was replaced at the Greatest Rumble event. Chris Jericho will now be the Undertaker's opponent, and apparently they edited out the Rusev chants on the Smackdown live clip on YouTube where Paige announces AJ versus Daniel Bryan. Now, I'm going to be like, I'm not going to put on my tinfoil hat because there's no conspiracy. But, you know, some people were like, oh, they don't want Rusev to get over. Other people were more pragmatic, and they're like, well, look, they just wanted to get to the announcement of AJ versus Bryan. They didn't want it to be weird. So, you know, that's the side I'm going to kind of fall on. Regardless.
The thing that I'm worried about, though, is that he was removed from the Taker match. Like that, like, why would you literally advertise that and then next day change it? I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. Maybe because they recognize that Rusev's a fan. Maybe they were genuinely afraid that the Undertaker was going to be turned on. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But
they replaced Rusev with Jericho. Like, how is that any less likely to get cheered?
Jericho, though, can be a great heel on the spot. Not saying Rusev can't, but because people are more recently affectionate with Rusev, I don't know. Maybe Jericho would still get cheered as well, though. Maybe he needs to kick the Saudi Arabian flag like he did in that one country to get heel heat. I don't know.
I think it was in Brazil.
Yeah, but really to get to Rusev, he's so talented. And I love that they seem to be committing a bit more with him being a babyface. I hate that we're getting Orton versus Jinder at Backlash, but at the same time, I honestly would have hated Rusev versus Jinder because I believe Rusev has transcended the U.S. title. Like, he's already had 2 runs with it. I think he's done everything he can do with it. Aiden English, I love, but you know, I feel like Rusev would be, you know, just as fine without him, personally. I don't think Aiden makes or breaks Rusev, and that's kind of a sign of relief to me. Just the Machka kick and how he tunes up the band a little bit, kind of like Rollins is doing with the curves on me. You know, I think that's a cool way to get the crowd into it. Like, now I'm ready to put this away. I don't know how long Rusev Day is going to last. It's definitely the over thing right now. 6 months from now, people may no longer care. You know, that's the nature of this business. But if he can maintain that momentum, and he's been a great merch seller, and if he can keep all that stuff going, you know, I hope he gets to be in a bigger program. Part of the reason I want Shinsuke to be WWE champion, and this is assuming, like, you know, let's just say WWE's in a vacuum right now, shakeup doesn't exist. I would love for a babyface Rusev to feud with a heel Nakamura for the WWE title, because they just had a match recently at Fastlane that I thought was a really good opener. But I feel like with more of a substantive story and defined alignments and this and that, they could really do something excellent together. And
dude, and how interesting is that too? That it would be heel Nakamura versus babyface Rusev. That's so, like, that's such a great way to avert, like, really just to kind of stray away from such obvious wrestling tropes that we've gotten so used to, especially with Rusev.
Absolutely. I mean, what really touched me and made me smile was he gave an interview and he said he was so, like, grateful for Rusev Day and proud of that for, like, getting over, because it shows that you don't have to look like him and like be stuck with the foreigner heel cliche forever. Like, you can transcend it. So for Rusev to say that, like, he's so proud that he's just not going to be that guy that was just that foreigner heel, that he was able to be something else. And, you know, it is 2018, and Rusev and any other person, hell, for as much as I hate him, even Jinder Mahal, like, if he would up the fucking talent level, they should be something else than something like, I come from a different country that isn't here, and I hate here. Boo me! Like, you know, we should be able to cheer these people and love them and, you know, whatever. I think, honestly, I think we need characters like that now more than ever, personally. And the idea that Rusev can kind of fill that role, I think, is so freaking cool. I feel like WWE's done him dirty several times, but hopefully they get it right eventually. I'm not saying he should beat Nakamura for the WWE title, and Nakamura hasn't even won it yet. We still have to cross that bridge. But if those conditions exist, I really do hope WWE pulls the trigger on them having a feud for the WWE title, because that, to me, is where Rusev belongs, current relative to his current level of overness. So, yeah, Rusev is my number 2 guy.
Absolutely, man. I dig that. I love it. And really, there's something beautiful about that, too. The whole, you know, him being this character in a, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to describe it.
Well, not him being this kind of character and being this over at a time where America seems especially xenophobic, and was just like, you know, I love it. I think it's great.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, well, I guess up next actually would be my number one, and then you can do your number one last.
All right. So who is your number one, brother?
You might not believe this, and I would hope that our fans would be able to predict this, but I don't know if you would be able to predict this. But my number one was actually one of your honorable mentions, John. My number one is Daniel Bryan.
You know what? Makes perfect sense to me. Take it away, brother.
It's so good to have him back. And he is, in my mind, even now, the most over performer that we've seen in WWE since Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is such a big deal to say that I almost don't think people realize how big of a deal it is that is even arguably true, much less objectively true. But yeah, Bryan is that guy, man. He is like the chosen one. And the thing is, the reason that he is that over is because the WWE's never made bones about the fact that he isn't their chosen one. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, Daniel Bryan put on an amazing, like 13-minute match with AJ Styles on Tuesday in a setting where there was no build, there was no story. It was literally just two guys trying to one up each other. Two guys that I want to add haven't touched in the ring in well over a decade at this point. I believe their last match was in like Ring of Honor in like 2006 or some shit like that. And it was just great. It was a great freaking match. Nakamura interfered and it saved that finish, which I'm hoping we will eventually get on a pay-per-view. And I just absolutely adore Bryan's in-ring work. He's not the best mic worker, but he is, I would argue, in like the upper 10 percentiles or so. Like he's like a 90th plus percentile mic worker in the WWE. And that's not even me saying he's this amazing mic worker. It's more me saying like most people in WWE aren't good mic workers, whereas Daniel Bryan, I think, is at least a solid mic worker and believable and genuine on the mic. And when he cuts promos with his heart and you believe what he's saying. And it almost has like that Mick Foley kind of vibe to it because of that genuineness. And in the ring, he's slowed down maybe a half a step, but he hasn't skipped a beat with the energy. He's still exceptional in the ring. And Bryan is one of my favorite performers in the world. And it's just so wonderful to have him back as an in-ring performer. And Tuesday made me smile ear to ear, being able to find out that he had to resign as general manager because of the fact that he was returning to the ring as a full-time in-ring performer. And I'm just so happy about everything. So that's my number one. But now I am seriously, seriously curious who in the blue hell. Actually, I think I know who it is, but I don't know if you would rank this person as a SmackDown performer, since if it's who I think it is, they were fired from SmackDown. But regardless.
Oh, it is. It is. And I am doing it because they were a SmackDown performer for the majority of the time span that we do this coverage. So at number one for me, Sami Zayn.
Yep.
Oh my God, what a difference a heel makes. Am I right, people? He's incredible. I love that this guy, because you know what, and I figured it out too, because everybody else that turns heel, it's like, oh, I couldn't beat this guy, or I couldn't win this thing, or oh, well, you accidentally hit me, so fuck you. And like for Bryan, he does have like traces of that in his heel turn, but essentially it's, I got sick and tired. Like I was consistently overlooked. I'm an insanely talented dude, which is objectively true. And, you know, like I had to do something different to get to where I needed to be because the course that I was on was not working. And honestly, like Bryan's had some really cool moments, like when he turned on Kevin Owens in the SmackDown Fatal 5-Way. You know, I still watch that clip and I get goosebumps where he's like, yeah. And then when Dasha's like, you know, why, Sammy? And then he just throws it back at her. Why? Why, Dasha? How about because I'm the best that WWE has? How about that I've been the most overlooked? I think he meant underlooked, but you know, whatever. Overlooked performer on the roster, Dasha. Why? Huh? Why? Don't ask me stupid questions. And then when him and Kevin together beat up Shane, ooh, 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 and just, oh my God. And then his interacting with Bryan, which I want a Bryan Sami Zayn feud, and I don't think we're going to be getting that, you know, right away, which is kind of disappointing. His in-ring work is great, and I would even say that as when he was a babyface. I wasn't so crazy about the character, but I always acknowledged his overness, and I always acknowledged how great he was in ring. Still acknowledge how great he is in ring. He's a beast. And honestly, at Fastlane, when he was screwed out of the WWE title, I was significantly more upset than when Kevin got screwed moments later. Like, the idea that we live in a world, because keep this in mind, people, Kevin Owens wasn't even in my honorable mentions. Kevin Owens is nowhere, and Sami Zayn is number one. So I believe it was Iconic that asked, you know, what kind of timeline is this where John Cena was your number one on Monday Night Raw? Well, it gets even weirder, I'm sure, for a lot of people when just recently, you know, before this heel turn, I was like, yeah, Sammy's aight. And now he's number one. Like, I fucking love this dude. I want him to be world champion. I want him to be a champion, period. And I want him to keep being a dick to people because he knows how good he is. It's just, he's amazing, dude. Absolutely amazing.
The best version of Sami Zayn is the version of Sami Zayn who recognizes his own value.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's some awesome number one. And dude, I mean, don't look now, but if you just look at the top of the rosters, SmackDown Live is freaking loaded. Daniel Bryan, Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, technically not really, but kind of still Sami Zayn. Good God, it's unbelievable. And they might be getting Andrade in the shakeup. Are you kidding me?
Oh,
right though.
Yeah. Speaking of, we're doing NXT next, right?
Absolutely, we sure are. And you get to go first on this one. So let me know who your honorable mentions are.
Honorable mentions for NXT. Red Dragon.
Nice. Oh, so both guys.
Yeah. Roderick Strong, Lars Sullivan, and Adam Cole.
Wow, Adam Cole only an honorable mention. I'm going to straight up tell you, brother, 3 of the people that you have as honorable mentions are on my Fave 5.
It's a beautiful world we live in. Who is in your honorable mentions?
Well, take a deep seat because it's a long list. War Raiders are on it.
Okay.
Drew McIntyre, still technically in NXT, had to make my honorable mentions.
Okay.
Both Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa are on my honorable mentions, as well as Leo Rush, Ricochet, Otis Dozovic, Pete Dunne, TM61, Tyler Bate, Dakota Kai, and the yet to debut but still amazing talent, Chris Dijak.
2 of your honorable mentions are in my Fave 5 for NXT.
And I'm pretty sure it might be really obvious who those 2 people are.
All right. So I'll go first with number 5 then. 5 is Pete Dunne. I still love the dude. I still think he is a technical fucking genius. And I love too, because here's the thing. If there's one criticism of Zack Sabre Jr. that I agree with people with, it's that, like, unless you really get a boner for scientific wrestling like I do, going from one submission to the next can grow tedious very quickly for a lot of people. And I like with Pete that he has a lot of impact maneuvers as well as like the joint manipulation and stuff. Like, Pete really is an amazing hybrid as far as in-ring goes. And as far as Mike, I don't think he's anything too exemplary, but again, like, he's in your face and he'll punch you in the mouth. And like, he looks like that tough guy. Like, I would not want to fuck with Pete Dunne.
He looks like a fucking asshole.
He does, dude. He does, but not even that asshole where, like, oh, wow, you took my skateboard without asking. What a dick. But no, that asshole that's like, he does something dickish to you and you want to do something about it because you want to have dignity. But then you look at him and you're like, God damn it. You know, and you know you're going to lose. I'm telling you, like, British Strong Style, I saw a photo of them together, like, all dressed proper, and they look like something out of Peaky Blinders. And he does. Like, he looks like he'd fit right in that world because, you know, that's more of a crime show, you know, with, like, British gangs and stuff like that. And, yeah, he looks like he'd be a fucking ringleader of a British gang. Like, God damn.
Yeah, I was even about to say, like, he looks like the type of asshole where he would, like, steal something from you, and you would be able to chase him down and punch him right in the face because he looks like he deserves a punch in the face, even if he didn't do anything bad.
Yeah.
But just like laugh it off and break the bridge of your nose with a chop or something. Like,
right? It's like you punch and you're like, yeah. And then Pete's like, not really the best you got, mate. And he just responds, and you realize, like, wow, I really was never shit to begin with. I should probably go home and kill myself. But no, Pete is fucking great. I love that he's been able to have such a down run. Like, it's funny, dude, that Tyler Bate will always be known as the first ever United Kingdom champion, but Dunn has had such a fucking run with that title that, like, it's really become his title to me. The person that beats him for it, it's going to be a readjustment period for me because I've just been so used to Dunn holding it. But yeah, I think his matches are great. He's fucking vicious, and I feel really bad for Roderick Strong and what's coming to him after the events of TakeOver New Orleans. So yeah, Dunn's my number 5. Who's number 5 for you, though? I'm really curious about your Fave 5 overall for NXT.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of pile on. Tyler Bate held that title for about 4 months. Dunn, though, is going on a year. He's held it for 11 months now.
Holy shit.
Yeah, because Tyler Bate won that title on January 15th, 2017. I said Dunn, I meant Bate. Bate won that title on January 15th, 2017 when he won the UK tournament. Dunn beat him for that title on May 20th that same year. So literally like 5 months or 4 months and 5 days later, Dunn has held it since then. So on May 20th of this year, Dunn will have held the UK title for a year.
And just to remind everybody, dude's only 24 years old. Like, yep. Jesus Christ.
He's super young, and he's a prodigy. That's like the only word you can use to describe him. So Pete Dunne's your number 5. My number 5 is a little bit of an underdog, somebody that until very recently, most people thought was just kind of this like vanilla midget that nobody cared about. And no, it's not even Roderick Strong. It's the other vanilla midget that people thought nobody cared about. But it turns out, holy shit, this dude's like high key, amazing, charismatic, great facial expressions, great acting. And my number 5 is Kyle O'Reilly.
Dude, I love it because, and that's why, like, that was a bit of a giveaway when you said, because when I had Red Dragon, my honorable mentions, you're like, oh, both of them. So I love that you made a distinction between Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, which makes sense.
Well, and in the same way that in my honorable mentions, I made a distinction. I gave Otis Dozovic an honorable mention, but not Tucker Knight.
Exactly. And, you know, to me, you're absolutely right, because what I'm loving about Kyle's current WWE run, and I saw glimpses of it in ROH before he left, like, you're right, dude. The charisma this man has is insane. But please, you know, the floor is yours. Keep talking about why you love Kyle O'Reilly.
So really, it's a lot of the little things, but also just like, holy shit, he's amazing in the ring. Like, nobody would deny that Kyle O'Reilly is an excellent in-ring worker, but then you take into account, first of all, his selling is next level. I won't go as far as to say he's like the best seller in the company or anything, but he's up there. He is an amazing seller. And I think that's evidenced even further by the great, like, faux power up, fall through the ropes pass out that he did at TakeOver.
Yes.
That moment was amazing. But not only is he this a great, amazing in-ring worker, but also he's an amazing actor. And I didn't even know that because Ring of Honor never lets anybody flash any acting chops because they don't really do any kind of well-produced promos or skits or anything like that. It's all just Bush League level shit. And Kyle O'Reilly in the Undisputed Era, in backstage segments, even in the ring, is a great freaking actor, because there was that one moment when Pete Dunne snapped back at Adam Cole talking about, oh, well, what have you accomplished here? And Kyle O'Reilly just gave him this look like, how dare you? And I think he even mouthed, how dare you? I love like the air guitar with the championship that he does to their own theme song. I love that. His reaction when he got a German suplex off on, I want to say Pete Dunne. It might have been Kyle O'Reilly or one of the AOP. I don't even remember, but he got a German suplex off. And then he sat up and he had this smug, shit-eating grin on his face, like he had just conquered the world. And then only to be kicked in the back immediately afterwards because the guy ate the suplex was amazing. And like his facial expressions, and Adam Cole's too, when Roderick Strong grabbed the Undisputed Era armband and put it on, was priceless. Kyle O'Reilly has really shined to me over the course of the last few months as an actor. And of course, I just in the ring, he's just in general, he's amazing. So yeah, O'Reilly is number 5 on my Fave 5. And the fact that I had this much positive to say about him really tells you how freaking tight the competition is in NXT for my Fave 5, because it was really difficult to make him number 5. I had him as high as number 3 at one point, and I had to move him down because of other people.
Wow, I'm loving your lists this installment. Like, this has really been an amazing experience. But to continue on, number 4 for me, this ain't no dream, but it's Velveteen Dream coming in at number 4 for me.
Dude, Dream is my number 3.
Dude, what's great about this for me, and I will let you go first then, since he ranked higher for you than for me, but the last installment, Dream was an honorable mention. He went from honorable mention to number 4 in the span of a few months for me. I think that's huge. But please do go first, since he did rank higher for you than for me.
I mean, he's just a dynamo, man. He just shows up, and immediately everybody's eyes are drawn to him because he has that magnetic it factor that people are always trying to define, and they can't figure out what words to attach to it. I just call it charisma. He is insanely charismatic, and really, even if he wasn't great in the ring, which I do think he's very good in the ring, his promos, his vignettes, his character work are all enough to make up for that. And then toss on top of that his ring psychology and his athleticism are top freaking notch. And yeah, Velveteen Dream is amazing. I want the world for him, and I'm so excited to see where he goes in NXT, assuming he stays in NXT and doesn't get shaken up to the main roster.
I mean, you made pretty much all the terrific points that I could have made. I'll just add, like, and I've said it repeatedly on the podcast, but you know what? I'm going to keep saying it, because if something's true, it never goes out of style, right? This guy fundamentally understands his character inside and out, and the commitment he has to it is amazing. I love it. Because see, my worry for this, if I'm truthful, because I heard the early whispers, and I'll be honest, I even kind of indulged them a little bit. Before we really got the major exposure Dream that we have, people were like, oh, this is another Goldust or a Fandango or just something in that vein. And I'm like, God, I hope that isn't true, because we know that Patrick Hoyk is very passionate about this. Like he is that lifer type to me. Like, there is no plan B. It's wrestling or bust.
Yes.
And the idea that he's done this well, again, at such a young age, like and maybe it's been going on for a long while and I was too stupid to know it, but there really seems to be a youth movement going on in pro wrestling, not just in WWE, but just in the indies in general. I mean, you talk about another act, I'm just going to mention randomly, Priscilla Kelly, who I know you're high on, and she's incredibly young. I love that we're getting these young performers that have the talent to match. It gives me hope. Velveteen Dream gives me hope. And if there's one thing that frustrates me, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, I don't think he came along in the wrong era, because if you're talented enough, the era shouldn't matter. But, you know, if this
Dude, here's what I'm glad you're talking about era, because here's what I wanted to say about Dream.
Okay.
This is a 22-year-old kid with limited, and I mean limited, independent wrestling experience. He worked Maryland Championship Wrestling for less than a year in a tag team with Leo Rush. And here he is in the Shark Tank. And that's what NXT is at this point. NXT is a Shark Tank, because you go to NXT and you're not just competing with WWE homegrown talent. You're competing with Andrade Cien Almas. You're competing with Aleister Black. You're competing with Adam Cole and Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong and Lars Sullivan and Killian Dane and the rest of Sanity, Eric Young and Alexander Wolf. And you're competing with the women, and you're competing with the tag teams. And yet Velveteen Dream, this 22-year-old kid with next to no independent wrestling experience, is arguably the biggest star on the show.
Yeah. It's mind-blowing to me. You know, now that Aleister Black is NXT champion, I want to see him and Dream do it again for the title. I need to see them do it again for the title.
That'd be incredible.
This man, and let me tell you something else too. And to people, it may hit the ear wrong, but I really feel like if you gave him the ball, now obviously I want him to have more time, because, you know, the finer you get at your game, the better. I would love at some place, sometime, if you know, if we're speaking in a vacuum space here and nothing else matters, imagine, because he interrupted this guy once before, and I know you popped big for it. imagine babyface Dream, because he's already getting like babyface-esque reactions on NXT, versus a heel Nakamura. Like, just my mind melts thinking about that shit.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that, like you said, they've already had that match, except the roles were reversed. It was Nakamura as the face, Dream as the heel. Those roles getting reversed and extending the match from like 5 minutes to like 15, mind blown.
I mean, I think he had one of the defining spots of the North American Championship ladder match with that purple Rainmaker elbow from the top of the ladder.
And that's the thing too. That wasn't just like, oh, he was sitting on the ladder and he jumped off the side of the ladder. No, he literally jumped off the top of the ladder. You could not go any higher than he went. And that was like a full-blown 12-foot ladder.
Yeah. And the elbow drop was executed to perfection.
And I'm pretty sure it might have actually just destroyed the innards of whoever it was. I think it was Lars Sullivan.
It was Lars Sullivan, and I'm like, holy shit. Dude, Dream he's so fucking good. Like, this is a guy. When I think about the old eras, because I think about the books that I read, you know, on Austin's career in his own words, and Michaels and this and that. You put the Intercontinental title on this dude when he gets called up, because he will get. You know what? I say 2019, Dream gets called up. I give him one more year. I think we'll enjoy all of 2018 with him in NXT. Early 2019, he gets called up. And
honestly, knowing the way WWE operates and knowing how big of a star Dream feels like right now, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a post-Survivor Series call-up this year.
And that could be, but I'm still going to be more on the. I
hope you're right. I hope they do wait until next year's post-Mania Raw or SmackDown to call him up. That feels like, okay, now he's been able to have a full, complete, beginning to end kind of story in NXT. Let him have his feuds, maybe even give him like a 3-month title reign or something like that. And then when you call him up, dude, holy shit, the reactions that he's going to get immediately.
And dude, you could slap the US or IC title.
Honestly, even if they didn't want to call him up on the post-Mania Raw, I could see him being in next year's Rumble.
Yes, dude. Yes. Because I could see him doing like certain Michael-esque stuff, like the skin, the cat, and this and that, and getting the fuel. Like, yeah, he could really fucking thrive. You put him on the main roster, you could put the US or IC title on this dude, he'd fucking own it. I do see a world champion in this dude. The only question is does WWE? And if they don't, that's fine, because I could also see him in really big feuds. I mean, we can't keep talking about guys feuding with like Undertaker or John Cena forever, because Undertaker's practically a Mania guy and Cena is a part-timer. But the big guys of today, you know, Balor, Rollins, Reigns, I could see Dream sharing a ring with those guys. And it's not that hard for me to conceive. AJ Styles versus Velveteen Dream, I want it. You know, he's so good. And really, we say like 2019, at least I say, I know you said that like he could be a post-Survivor Series call-up. He'd still only be at most 23 at that time. And that's crazy to think about. Like, he's so young. Like, I'm not even really
old enough to rent cars in most states.
I know, dude. It's fucking nuts. But yeah, dude, Dream's fantastic. I just needed to get that off my chest. And he was number 4 for me. So give your next NXT 5v5 here. Because are you on number 4 or are you on number 3 now?
Well, I already told you my number 5.
Right.
I haven't told you my number 4 yet.
Okay, who's your number 4?
My number 4 was another one of your honorable mentions, that being Lars Sullivan.
Oh, yeah, take it away, brother. Take it away.
I just love this dude, man. Like, it's really, really unfortunate that he missed so much time, and there were rumors that he had been either called up or he got into some kind of trouble and would be suspended or released or something like that. And then he just shows up without skipping a beat, and he's this great, like, basically Beast from X-Men character, where he's got, you know, the body of a monster, the body of a beast, and the mind of a Harvard graduate, or however they want to describe it. And I love that character, and I love him as a performer. I think that he's got literally no ceiling whatsoever, because every time he would approach what you would think would be a ceiling, there just wouldn't be one there, because there's no limit to how great he can be. And he is like, I think he is for me what Rusev is for you in a sense, because I kind of see him as like this great monster character with no ceiling that WWE really needs to get behind. And I kind of feel like that's kind of where you are with Rusev as well. So I just think Lars Sullivan is great. I love him as a character. I love his in-ring style with how physical and brutal he is. I agree that he could get a better finisher, but I don't even have that much of a problem with the freak accident. So yeah, I just think this is as long as he stops using the damn top rope headbutts, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, especially about the top rope headbutt. I love it. Lars, I love that we're seeing in WWE with guys like Braun and most recently Lars that the monster tropes are being challenged. Yep. You know, we've gone from George the Animal Steel eating turnbuckle pads to guys like Lars saying, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Regal," and unequivocally, you know, in words like that. I do want him to expand the vocab, you know, just to make the promos more interesting. But yeah, I think this dude's got a lot of raw talent. I'll be interested to see how he gets refined and, you know, what he does. I feel like he was another standout in the North American ladder match. And I will say this about Lars, and not so much so Killian Dane. I've seen a lot of big guys compete in ladder matches, you know, from Mark Henry to Big Show to Lord Tenzai, and, you know, all those guys. The type of character that Lars is, being the monster character, I think he had the best outing in a ladder match as a monster that I've ever seen. Like, he did really well. And I think that speaks to, you know, just what he's really capable of. You know, you put this guy in certain environments and he can adapt and really get the best out of it. I'm very excited for Lars. I know our friend Anthony Dolan, like when early photos came out of Lars and you saw the hands that the guy has, he was super psyched about him. You know, he has a physique that reminds me of a throwback, like a Buddy Rogers like. And I even said that on NXT New Orleans Live Reactions.
There were actually rumors when there were pictures of him floating around before he debuted that they were going to bill him as Bruno Sammartino's son.
Yeah, because he just has that physique. He has that real old school look. And, you know, and he's a new school terror. So there you go. And yeah, we'll see what Lars can do, but I'm so happy you've given him this love. And he'll probably crack my top 5 and Fave 5 installment number 5 because, yeah, I really enjoy his work as well, but for now, he was only an honorable mention. So now, with that said, I guess I'll give my number 3. Dream was your number 3, right? Just to confirm, because you said.
Yeah, that's correct. Dream was my number 3. Yep.
And my number 3 is Kairi Sane. Oh my God, love her so much. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, it really is a beautiful thing because I even saw a tweet today from somebody that's like, "Oh, wrestling's gotten me through so many of the hardships of my life, and wrestling's there for me." And I totally get that. Like, I've been and still am to a degree that guy. And with Kairi Sane, it makes me happy. Like, there's no real technical, like, "Oh, she's got this move." No, it just, I'm happy. Like, watching her compete makes me smile. And it's just, yeah, I just love how happy and positive she is on Twitter. She always wishes everybody well. And it's like, "Oh, happy Friday from me and Cheese." She named her dog Cheese. It's a dairy product. She named her dog Cheese. Like, what? And her elbow drop is great, obviously. I'd love to hear more from her on the mic because we heard a little bit from her in the NYC, and I love her promos too because, again, she's just so positive. And she, like with Bianca Belair, like, Bianca Belair, very dangerous, very long hair, must be careful. And I'm like, "Oh yes, Kairi, you're such a strategic genius." So yeah, man, like, it's just one of those picks where I wish I could give you this nuanced dissertation and why Sami Zayn should be pushed in 2019 to the WWE title by Sir John Altman. But no, it's like, she just makes me happy. It's no nuance. It's nothing like that. Just really, really love watching her compete. And I love her as a performer and a person. And that one event where the fans chanted Pearl Harbor, "Go fuck yourselves." But then she responded with such positivity because she responded with a picture of children around the globe holding hands and spreading love. Like, we don't deserve her. And I will end this by saying, once again, protect this woman at all costs because whoever tarnishes her innocence, I will kill them. So, yeah, number 3 is Kairi Sane for me, bud. Just fucking love her.
Well, I can't add a thing to that. So I guess I'll go next with my number 2. We're kind of flipping around here because you already know my number 3, but I'm guessing my number 2. No, my number 2 is also not on your list, and I'm pretty sure we're going to share a number 1, or at least I'm hoping we will.
Yeah.
So my number 2 is on your honorable mentions, and I was actually very disappointed that he was only on your honorable mentions because my number 2 is Adam Cole, baby.
Can I say one of my favorite things about this year on the TWitWoW channel is just that you have just embraced the Cole. Like, it is magnificent to watch. So please, good sir, take it away.
I think one of my least favorite things on this channel is that you have fallen so far from the Church of Cole. It's really quite devastating to me.
I just love how you said that, like just that level of concern. Like, we just really need you to come back. We're worried for your welfare when you're not a part of this. But no, please explain to everybody why you love Adam Cole so much.
I mean, do you really need an explanation for this guy?
I just would love one though, because like
I know, but like he's just so good at everything, and his catchphrase is insanely over with every crowd. It was super over at the Royal Rumble. It was super over in pretty much every venue that they record tapings for NXT in. It was super over at TakeOver War Games and TakeOver Philadelphia and TakeOver New Orleans. Adam Cole Bay is the new Yes Chance, I think. And the thing is, there are heavy rumors backstage that he is, in Vince McMahon's mind, the next Shawn Michaels. So immediately, there are no inhibitors. There are no break inhibitors on this goddamn hype train because there is no ceiling. If Vince thinks that a guy is the next Shawn Michaels, he is the next Shawn Michaels, especially someone as talented as Adam Cole, baby. And I'm incapable of saying his name without including the baby afterwards because it might actually be a psychological tick. I should probably see a doctor for that. But regardless, Adam Cole, baby, is an exceptional mic worker, an exceptional in-ring worker. And like I mentioned with Kyle O'Reilly earlier, amazing actor, amazing facial expressions, super convincing on the mic. I mean, you want to talk about golden facial expressions, the range of Adam Cole Bay's facial expressions are really incredible. Look at the way he reacted when William Regal said that there would be a War Games match, and compare that to the way he reacted when Roderick Strong put the Undisputed Era armband on his arm. That is this man's elasticity of his face, which is incredible and glorious in and of itself. Combine that with the amazing performer himself, combine that with the fact that we might actually be seeing the next big WWE main roster star in the making. I don't give a shit, man. I'm the conductor of this hype train, and there is no stopping it.
Dude, and you can have it. This is why I wanted that. Like, the elasticity of his face. Like, yes. I have to tack on something that you said, though, because, like, and you already, well, actually, I shouldn't even say tack on. I should say echo. Dude, the facial expressions fucking kill me.
Right?
They fucking kill me. Like, just one of my favorite moments in the North American Championship ladder match. And this is a character trait that I'm projecting onto Cole, but I really hope it is part of his character because he does this better than Kevin Owens. And I always thought that this is a defining Kevin Owens trait. I love how insecure Adam Cole is. Because, like, he has Adam Cole, baby, but, like, whether it's in PWG, where he's pretty much been called a fat piece of shit, and, like, he's just like, oh, you son of a bitch, and, like, his face when he's, like, being told, like, you're 300 pounds, or in the North American Championship ladder match, when him and EC3 are teaming up, and EC3's like, oh, wait, I want to do something. And Cole at first is looking at him like, what are you going to do? Like, he's amused. Like, what are you going to do? And then when EC3's like, EC3, baby, Cole's face sours. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he super kicks EC3, and you can even hear him mouthing, that's mine. Like, he's so...
And then he super kicks everyone else, too, including that amazing Ricochet springboard spot into the super kick. And then he does Adam Cole baby for the crowd.
Dude, I love how potentially insecure this man is, because it's not even like that whiny whatever. And I used to love how Kevin Owens would do it, like, oh, Sami Zayn, that was a great suplex. You know, I do that suplex too, right? But it's just like with Adam Cole, he's like, no, I really am good. I am. Shut up. Adam Cole, baby. Like, it's so good. And, you know, like, yes, my Cole fandom is way, but I don't think it's anything because of Cole. I just think we live in an era where I love so many guys so much. And it's like, will I ever come back to the Church of Cole? probably. I will never try and take your spot as conducting the train because I fucking love when you do this shit. I low-key live for this shit. But I do, like, I want it to be known. I want this man to be WWE champion. I want this man because when Vince McMahon says next Shawn Michaels, what goes into my mind is WWE champion, WrestleMania main event, on posters, heavily promoted, and it's everything that Adam Cole deserves.
Well, I mean, you've heard the rumor. WrestleMania 35 is rumored to have, obviously the big rumor now is Ronda versus Charlotte as the main event and going on last, but the other rumor is Roman Reigns versus Adam Cole main eventing, so I'm down.
Dude, I'm fucking down too. And if Cole, because dude, let's just entertain that for just 1 second, because again, this is a fandom space. We're not so cynical, this and that. Let's entertain that for 1 second. WrestleMania 35, Roman Reigns, Adam Cole. That would mean, by my calculations, Adam Cole would have one of the most meteoric rises in a main roster year in fucking history. Because screw Kevin Owens beating John Cena, or this guy doing this or this guy doing that. A guy main eventing WrestleMania in his first big main roster year. And it wouldn't even be a full year because it wasn't a post-Mania call-up. So unless he gets called up in the shake-up, whatever. That would be insane. That would just be fucking insane. But you know what, though? It's believable because he is that talented. Yep. And Cole's only, what, 28 years old? Like, he shouldn't even be 30 yet, right? I'm
Googling 28, yes.
Yeah. Fucking 28, same age as Andrade. And he's this talented. Like, dude, I love it. And I love that you love it so much. Like, it puts a smile on my face every time. Every fucking time. That's why you didn't even need to give an explanation, but I wanted one anyway because I will never get sick of this shit. So, yeah, Adam Cole, what was that, number 2 for you? So my number 2, I couldn't wait to talk about this. My number 2 is Tommaso Ciampa.
I knew it! Yes!
I love what an evil piece of shit this man is. I love his commitment to ruining lives. Oh my God. Dude, you want to talk about social media use? I'm sorry, bro. I agree with you about Becky, but I challenge anybody to tell me who uses social media better than Tommaso Ciampa.
I mean, objectively, he's not actually good at social media because he doesn't even know how to at people, but that plays into his gimmick so well.
Dude, because here's the thing. Like, and yeah, I'm going to bring this name up because you guys know that I'm low-key kind of a fan, even though I disagree with a lot. But, like, one of old Corny's rants when he's not yelling at clouds was he hates social media because it kills kayfabe. In the big story that came out when Roman and Braun were feuding, Titus was stupid enough to post a photo of all of them together, and it killed the image because a fan quickly reminded Titus.
Titus, man. That's right there. That right there is precisely why when somebody screws something up, you can effectively say that they pulled a Titus.
Yeah. I love you. Never leave me. And you know what? Like, I can sympathize with Cornette in a way, but my sympathies aren't even that it makes wrestling any worse. My sympathies are actually a lot weirder, I guess you could say. Because look, when I was a kid, I loved believing that wrestling was real, man. I did. Like, I loved believing that these were good guys and these people were horrible people, and I loved it. And like, Ciampa uses media in such a way, like, you've got people, and not only, here's the thing about Ciampa's Twitter, Ciampa isn't even the best thing about his Twitter. The people that reply to him are the best thing about his Twitter, because you'll have people that'll do crying gifs or just say stop in like all caps, or why are you like this? And like, he's just that good. And then getting away from social media, and I mention that because it's rare that you see somebody use social media so well for the character, and he does. Just recently, it was National Sibling Day, and he said, "You ruined everything, Johnny Gargano. Enjoy life." And like, he still blames Johnny for this. And after Takeover New Orleans, he's like, "Clearly, I wasn't at 100%. Johnny Gargano is a coward for attacking me like that." Everybody's just like, "What? You attacked him first?" So like, he's such a douche. Like, I love it. And then at Takeover New Orleans, when he's just beating the crap out of Johnny. And then there's that one point I died when he's sitting on the apron and he's clapping for himself and he pats himself on the back. I'm like, he really is deranged. Like, this motherfucker is psychotic. I want him to Project Ciampa Candice right in front of Johnny. I want him to mentally and emotionally break Johnny Gargano. I don't give a fuck about Johnny Gargano. If Ciampa was able to do that on the cement, I would laugh my fucking ass off. I have found in Tommaso Ciampa, and here's what scares me. Here's what actually low-key, actually no, not even low-key, high-key terrifies me. I used to say that Marty the Moth was probably one of the best heels for me, because I know that's a subjective thing, in wrestling. I still love you, Marty, to death, and I'm still going to be rooting for you so hard in Season 4. Ciampa is one of the best heels I am seeing right now. And he is so good. He makes me even scummier than I already am because I want him to push the envelope. I want him to ruin those lives. I want him to shatter those dreams. I want him to be the shittiest version of himself that he can possibly be because it feeds me. I want him to just fucking cripple Aleister Black. Aleister Black celebrating with that NXT Championship. I want Ciampa to take his knee brace and just bust open Aleister Black and beat him like he fucking stole something. And then not give a shit when fans are like, Ciampa, why'd you ruin our moment? Because you tried to forget about me, you ungrateful fucks. And I am going to ruin all the happiness in your lives because I can. Why are you like this? Because you won't stop dwelling in your basement. Like,
you know what, dude? I think Ciampa is the best heel in wrestling right now because of what Abel just said in chat. This is a guy who is a ridiculous over-the-top heel who's a good talker and a good worker. That combination typically leads to Mark crowds cheering, smart crowds, or Mark crowds booing, smart crowds cheering. And we're talking NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Those are like the smarkiest of smarks. These are people coming in from all over the world to see NXT and WrestleMania. And he got nothing but nuclear heat. This man is the first man, I would argue, since like Muhammad Hassan to be universally loathed.
It's amazing.
And the best thing is he's not using anti-American sentiments to do it.
I know, dude. The hate is so real.
Tommaso Ciampa is as pure of a heel as Kairi Sane is a pure babyface.
Yeah, dude. Here's the thing that scares me too. Like, even if he'd have to attack Kairi Sane to do it, and she would just be looking at me and be like, "Don't let him do this to me," I'd be like, "Sorry, I have to do it," and just let it happen. Like,
you pull the old Shawn Michaels. I'm sorry, I love you.
But the heel needs to grow. I want it to get to the point where children. Because who gives a fuck about them? They don't matter. I want them to cry when Ciampa enters the arena. I want them to throw such a fit that the parents, for just a momentary second, think, well, is a 6th trimester abortion really that bad? It's just, I love how evil this man is to the point where I think he's slowly making me even more evil, which should just terrify everyone. Like, what the actual fuck, is going on here? And what scares me, dude, and by the way, too, I didn't even touch on this. I love the Blackheart name. I love the beard. I love that this guy looks more like a cult leader to me than Bray Wyatt ever did.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought up Bray Wyatt, because while you were talking about scaring children, it made me realize, like, when Bray Wyatt was in his peak era, like NXT and then really early in main roster, I wanted them to make a horror movie series based on him and that cult and all that shit. Tommaso Ciampa fills that criteria right now. Like, if they would make a horror movie with Tommaso Ciampa being the main like villain of the movie, I would want to see it. That sounds amazing to me.
And do you know what the movie for me would be? Like, because
I can't wait to hear this.
In the DIY video package, when they're showing all those moments together, like, that would be the film, but you'd see more of Ciampa just secretly seething inside, trying to suppress it because he knows how he really wants to be. But he's like, no, Johnny's my friend. He always has my back. And then when Johnny doesn't say a fucking peep about all the people that want to replace him, that's when the real Ciampa comes out. And he can't even suppress it anymore. Like, this to me is the real Ciampa. And I never be good again. Fuck these people. Fuck being nice. Like, heel for life. I am ready to consider Kevin Owens as a babyface. We're already seeing Bray Wyatt as a babyface and it's working well. Ciampa, I never want to see as a babyface again. Not that he's bad at it, but he's just far and away superior as a heel.
Right, it's opportunity cost. Like, why would you even bother with a solid, good, maybe even great babyface Ciampa when you can have this?
I gotta be honest, you know, I'm so thankful that on TWitWoW I can be a professional, because if I had it my way, I would have full-on masturbated during his work at TakeOver New Orleans. I mean, this dude is just so fucking good. And honestly, I'm glad Johnny's got his job back, because Ciampa didn't lose his. Johnny, I can't wait for him to be mentally and emotionally broken again. That man should not be whole. Not while Tommaso Ciampa's breathing. He hasn't earned the right. And honestly, his wife's next. So that's all I have to say about that.
You really, like, you are about as dead set on Ciampa doing something physical to Candice as you are dead set on Dean Ambrose returning as a heel.
I mean, look, to me, now this might, because I do genuinely think this is debatable, might make me a piece of shit, but I don't think the Garganos deserve to be happy. So that's just really
God damn it.
All right, so please tell me we share number one, and if we do, I'm going to have you go first anyway, even though I definitely know I'm a big advocate of this dude, and this is going where I think it's going.
Well, do we want to do like a 3, 2, 1 and then say his name at the same time?
I mean, possibly, but on the off chance that it's not.
Or should we do it in his native language and say tres, dos, uno?
Well, that already confirms it. Tres, dos, unos.
Andrade! Cien!
Almas! Oh, God. You go first.
So good. He's so good. Dude, and here's the thing. Andrade, I think, was number 2 on my NXT Fave. Yeah, he was. He was number 2 on my NXT Fave 5 last time we did this. But last time we did this was before TakeOver Philadelphia and TakeOver New Orleans. So we've gotten both of those shows in our systems since our last Fave 5s, and he was already number 2 on that list. He's had amazing performances at every TakeOver, and it really has gotten to the point that even if you want to argue that he's faced amazing competition, there still has to be a common denominator. Andrade Cien Almas might just be the best in-ring performer on the WWE's payroll right now.
Oh, God. Dude, I fucking love this dude. Like, the biggest compliment.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, that's a compliment that I made just now about him possibly being the best in-ring performer on WWE's payroll. And I don't think that's objectively true. I think you could make an argument for it. I think it might be true. I think he's got stiff competition in Nakamura, in Styles, and now in Daniel Bryan especially. But here's the thing. The fact that he's even in that conversation, despite being far and away the youngest in that conversation. He is 28 years old. Let's talk about AJ Styles, 40 years old. Nakamura, 37, 38 actually. Daniel Bryan is 36. Andrade Cien Almas is 28 years old. Like, this dude hasn't even reached his prime yet. And we're already talking about him arguably being the best in-ring performer in the WWE's entire roster, regardless of brand. And I don't think that that's an absurd statement to make. He is a prodigy to the fullest.
Dude, because, you know, like, I wanted you to go first because you know how I am with people that I love. It's one thing to like a guy, but when I love a performer, I could write an essay on him. I gave him the biggest compliment in TakeOver New Orleans live reactions because I figured that it would be one of his last NXT matches, and now it turns out it may not be. I mean, we really don't know yet. I think
it will be, dude. I think he's getting called up next week in the shake-up.
I hope you're right, honestly, because it's time. You can't hold it back forever. And I do want to mention something that Storyteller Wes actually DM'd me, and I wanted to talk to you about that, but I'll talk about that in a second. I gave him the biggest compliment I could possibly give anybody. And I said, this guy is, to me, in WWE what Mundo is in Lucha Underground. Like, he is my WWE Mundo. He has filled that void since Mundo
so if it wasn't for Mundo still wrestling in a promotion that we follow, Andrade would be your number one guy.
Andrade would be my number one guy. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, this dude is fucking insane to the point where, and here's the thing, I can admit about him, and it's not just wrestling, politics, philosophy when I'm talking with colleagues. I really don't like, and ironic given how I like to work, but I really don't like to argue that much. I normally don't really find the energy for it. You know you're special when I find the need to go to bat for you, because I would see people like, and I'll name him because we talked to him and we watch his stuff. Deluxe Man, he's critical of Andrade on the mic. I actually said to him, no, Andrade's really good on the mic. It's just like, you got to give him time, because I love that this guy can speak in Spanish and work his body and work the ring and be so animated. Like, he's a better promo cutter in a language without subtitles than most guys, I think, in English. Like, I would say he's a better promo cutter than Orton. And I can understand everything Orton says, but Andrade brings such life to his promos, where Orton, to me, has been.
I would argue that Andrade might be that Orton might be the worst example to use here, because Orton has a lot of the same strengths as Andrade, as far as like when he is putting effort into it, his facial expressions, his body language, and all that stuff are so good. But yeah, I think you could argue that Andrade is in like the 80th or so percentile of promo cutters in the company, just based on his passion and his delivery alone.
Yeah. This dude is fucking brilliant to me. And I know I said Joe for Money in the Bank 2018, and I stand by it, but let me put a qualifier on that. That's only if Andrade isn't A, on the main roster, and B, not in the match. Because if he is in that fucking match and those conditions are met, it is Andrade or bust for me. Again, it says a lot about it, dude, when I feel the need to take the time out of my day, when I won't even argue about really objectively more important shit, and I'll just be like, you're actually wrong about Andrade, and here's why. I'm that guy. Like,
yeah, because you really are like a really like anti-confrontation. Like, you really just, because like with me, I'm more the type that like I feel like arguments and debates are more productive than bad, but you just try and avoid that shit with the plague.
Exactly. Like, I will stand up for people, no doubt, but if it's getting into like long debates, I'm really not for it. I'm more of like I'll do like a written response or something, but I won't like debate you in like a heated sense. No, Andrade is a guy I would go to bat for. Yeah. And I actually got visibly angry scrolling through the updates after TakeOver Philadelphia when everybody was praising Gargano. And again, objectively, I know I just had a lot of fun with the Tommaso Ciampa pick, but objectively, yes, I have all the respect in the world for Johnny, and he's brilliant, and he's an amazing babyface. But can we talk about Andrade, though? Because, like, he was so fucking good. And I feel like in the match with Alistair, I'm sorry, but I felt like, because Alistair, I feel like, had one or two hiccups. Like, Andrade, to me, everything was clean. Like, I felt like he was outworking Alistair in parts, just my opinion.
I actually do agree with you on that. I do feel like I won't say that he was like the only star of the match or anything, but I do.
No, certainly not. No.
I do feel like he had a better performance in that match than Alistair. And it's not like he had to carry anyone or anything, because it's still Alistair Black. But like you said, Alistair had a couple of little sloppy moments in there where it kind of felt like Andrade almost saved him. Like the one moonsault, I felt like Andrade made him look better than he should have looked in that instance.
There are two validating things, though, to me. For as much as I would like more people to have Andrade on their radar, there are two really validating things for me. One really comes from our chat when they want all these Andrade dream matches that I know you and I want to. Andrade versus Nakamura, Andrade versus Styles, Andrade versus Bryan, Andrade versus the world, really. The second validating thing, though, in that same vein about Philadelphia, I saw people that were of Mexican heritage saying they were so grateful for Andrade because they felt proudly represented by him. And I thought that was so fucking cool, because to me, that's what you hear all the time about the likes of like Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy can get there. This guy can be that guy for that demo, and he can do it with more class, more responsibility, more anything than fucking Del Shitbag or any of the last few projects that WWE has had in that area. I want them to give Andrade the world. I really do hope. Like, I know he won't be stuck on 205 Live because he's over the weight limit, but they could always fudge it. I don't know. I want them to really give this dude a main event run. I'm not necessarily the most hopeful that that'll happen, but here's the thing. If it was to happen, we could thank one person, and that's Zelina Vega. And that's the last thing I want to really talk about with Andrade. The packaging, again, is fantastic. She is fantastic. I tell her, I've told her at least 3 times on 3 different occasions after an Andrade performance that I'm sorry, I like her more than I like Paul Heyman. I'm tired of Paul Heyman. He can go away.
I think it really is just an exposure problem where we have gotten to the point where Heyman is old news and Zelina is that new hotness, and Zelina might not necessarily be as good right now as Heyman was at his best, but right now we definitely feel more of an appreciation for Zelina's work because of how much more kind of fresh it is, you know.
If anybody is going to get him to what I hope would be the WWE Championship, because I want him on SmackDown, it's Zelina Vega. And you know, it's kind of a weird time because the mid-card champion's a heel, and I feel like the WWE champion is getting ready to be a heel. But you know something? Brian won't have a dance partner then if that's the case, at least not right away. Like, I'd love for one of Andrade's early matches to be against Daniel Bryan. And I don't even really feel like it would be that contrived of a setup because he's still so new. And in terms of like being back in the thick of things, I just want to see him unleashed. I want to see Zelina make a transition from manager to female competitor because we know that she's a damn good wrestler too. And I just want those two to thrive. And to me, when you said that like Andrade's in the conversation for one of the best wrestlers in the world, I wholeheartedly agree. And again, this is my mundo in a WWE context. I will be rooting for him every time. I will be fucking jizzing for him for every time he wins. And I will be lamenting every loss because he's just that good. He blows my fucking mind. And I can't wait for him to get better quality merch because the only shirt they have out net right now is, to me, kind of garbage. But if he ever gets a new shirt and I like it, I will happily pony up for one. This dude is fucking money. And I can't wait to keep live reacting to him. So that's the fine point I'm going to put on that. God, we are still going on this, and we still have New Japan and other yet. This is crazy. So, yeah, do you want to get to New Japan?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I want to add about Andrade is something that people have been mentioning in chat, that, yes, Zelina Vega isn't just this, like, side accessory that has allowed Andrade to shine more. She is an exceptional performer in her own right. Like, you can watch his matches at these takeover shows, and she is more active as a manager than Paul Heyman has ever been in his career.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
And even if you want to just ignore when she gets physical and does like the Rana or like the Franken-Driver or whatever it is that she does to Andrade's opponent in matches, her actual managing, her like shouting instructions and trying to keep Andrade focused and stuff like that, she is so much more animated and over the top than Heyman's ever been. I love it. She is exceptional. And yeah, I think it is time to move on to New Japan, which I think is also going to surprise a lot of people on my end. And I get to go first here. So I'm going to just give my honorable mentions, and then you can do the same and we can get into our lists. How's that sound?
Absolutely.
All right, to my New Japan honorable mentions. This is going to be a who's who of huge names in New Japan. I think people are going to be surprised. All right, you ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Kazuchika Okada, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Hangman Page, Marty Scurll, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Zack Sabre Jr., Taichi, the Killer Elite Squad, the Gorillas of Destiny, Toru Yano, and even though we haven't seen much of him lately, I still absolutely love Yuji Nagata.
I feel like I heard 2 of my fave 5s in your honorable mentions.
I'm guessing your number 1 was one of my honorable mentions.
Yeah, that's pretty likely. Because my honorable mentions were Roppongi 3K, Will Ospreay, Okada, Hiromu Takahashi, Naito, and Kenny Omega.
Okay.
All right, so who came in at number 5 for you for New Japan?
Just one moment. I'm updating the lists. Hiromu Takahashi, Tetsuya Naito are your honorable mentions. I'll tell you, Tetsuya Naito, that 3 of your honorable mentions made my fave 5. So we kind of have that thing going pretty consistently.
All right, so who came in at number 5 for you, brother?
My number 5 is one of your honorable mentions, that being Will Ospreay. I absolutely love this dude's work. He is hands down my second favorite junior, and that should give you an idea of who else might be on my list. And I love him as the junior heavyweight champion. I loved his match with Marty. The psychology and the storytelling is so incredibly underrated and overlooked with him. And I would argue with him and with Skrull. I don't want to, turn a blind eye to Skrull. He's been great as well. Their storytelling has been excellent. Ospreay with a lot of the same stuff that I love about Kyle O'Reilly, the acting, the facial expressions, the sort of physical acting in the ring with the facial expressions and stuff like that in the ring, and like the ability to show that desperation on your face and stuff like that. Plus, I mean, just look at his moves, dude. He's this insane athlete that most people would die to be able to do stuff that he is able to do on a whim. And yeah, man, he's my number 5, and I freaking love Will Ospreay. And I think us watching Progress lately has kind of gotten me even more in favor of him as a performer, because it's kind of allowing me to see his roots,
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I love that Ospreay made your list. And like you, I don't want to turn a blind eye to Will. Like, dude gave his fucking head and neck for us in that last junior heavyweight championship match against Skrull. I love this run that he's been on, and I love the story that he feels the need to prove himself as junior heavyweight champion, on the path to Rey Mysterio. I think that's a really cool fucking story. And yeah, Will, just watching his early time in Progress, and we've seen him in PWG, but we're also seeing him now in New Japan. I feel like he's done really good stuff in New Japan. And yeah, I agree with everything you said, dude. Will is just fantastic. I can't wait to see more of him. Excellent start to your New Japan Fave 5.
All right, well, let's hear your start to your New Japan Fave 5. Who was your number 5?
Well, I got to send out a warning to everybody for number 5. The juice is loose, because finally cracking my top 5 after so many installments where I said he would. Juice Robinson. I gotta tell you, dude, I think with Juice, it really comes down to two things. One, I do enjoy the matches, but I think this is another guy where more than the in-ring stuff, I love the character. And by character, like, Juice has such a likability to him, and his promos, he's such a great babyface because he's so humble. And like, one of my favorite moments in New Japan was this past G1 climax where he pins Kenny Omega, and like, he's fucking shocked about it. He literally says like, what the fuck? Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Like, he is that babyface. Like, he's so, again, humble. He doesn't really believe in his own abilities because he recognizes like he's in this sea of greatness with Omega, Okada, and Naito. When he was competing in the New Japan Cup, he's like, I've got Tanahashi. He's one of the best. And, like, I'm going to do my best. I saw a great video analysis of, after Juice beat Omega, and then he got the U.S. title match. Did a great analysis of the U.S. title match where Juice apparently told a story where, like, because he's been pursuing his first New Japan title, and he's still pursuing it. He didn't want to work over Kenny's leg because that was injured, and the crowd was really cheering him on. But Juice started working over the leg because everything he was doing, it only got near falls, and the crowd started booing Juice. And Juice took that into account, and he was actually like, his body language and his facial expressions, you could tell he was internally conflicted because the crowd's hating me for doing this, and I rely on their support to win, but this might be a winning strategy to beat one of the best wrestlers in the world and get my first taste of gold. And like, then he goes back to trying to win the honorable way, the late stages of the match, because he just can't take the booze anymore. And it's so good. This dude is so good at telling a story and being a babyface. And I think it's one of those things where I hope he's in G1 this year. I hope he's in a block where he gets a major upset over a champion. Like, dude, for as much as I love Suzuki, and we'll get to that a little bit later, if he was to pin Suzuki, or dude, for fuck's sake, if he was able to pin Okada, I would lose my fucking shit. Like, yeah. Juice is that kind of character where I'm just like, I could even picture myself in live reactions because, when I go into full commentator mode, like, I think I'm like the love child of Jim Ross and Mauro Ranallo. Oh my God, Juice is pinned, the heavyweight champion. I could just see it. I could visualize it. And when he wins his first world title, I hope it's on a show we're live reacting to, because those will be live reactions worth remembering. I promise you. This dude, to think that he used to be CJ Parker, and I liked CJ Parker's heel work, but to know that he's blossomed into such a performer. And you could tell he loves wrestling because the only reason he did this shit in the first place is he said in interviews, look, I left NXT, and I left NXT not because I didn't love NXT, because I wanted to get better. I saw holes in my game. I saw that I wasn't going to be used, and I love wrestling, and I want to be the best performer I can be, and I fucking love Juice for that. Because for as many times I can rant about Nia Jax, who just expects to be served something on a silver platter because of who she knows, Juice wants to be the best he can be and get the pushes he does because of who he is as a performer. And I respect the fuck out of dudes like that. And yeah, dude, Juice is great. Can't wait for him to win a title. I hope it's the never openweight title against Goto. Who even knows? But his time's got to be coming soon. And I'm on the Juice caboose, baby. It's a great ride.
I love it. Oh man, your love for Juice has always kind of confused me, but at the same time, knowing how passionate you are about it just makes me smile from ear to ear. It makes me so happy that you have a guy that you are that passionate about and that you're that into just seeing succeed. He basically is your Gargano. Like, he is the Gargano to me, to you.
Yeah, you know, honestly, holy fuck, he just kind of blew my mind a little bit there, because he really is. Like, he really is that dude. So who's number 4 for you, dude?
Number 4 for me is a guy that I know is probably going to rank a little bit higher for you on your list, since he was not in your honorable mentions, and I'm pretty sure he was number 1 on the list last time we did this. Number 4 for me is Minoru Suzuki.
He's actually my number 4 as well.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, he dropped down just a little bit from last time. So you go first, though. Why do you love Suzuki?
Well, the thing is, like, first of all, obviously he's this technical master. He's this amazing technical wrestler who really can out-wrestle, as far as mat wrestling goes, just about anyone. I love that he's a damn near 50-year-old man who can still throw drop kicks. Like, it's amazing to me when you know, he comes off the ropes and then he just shoots his body up in the air and hits someone with that one foot right in the face. It's amazing to see. And really, beyond the amazing technical prowess, he just entertains the hell out of me, man. Every single time we watch a Suzuki match, even in his tag matches, I feel like Suzuki puts a smile on my face and has me giggling 2 minutes into the match, because he pulls someone to the outside and he pulls a guardrail off the hinges and slams it on top of their lifeless bodies. And then he just walks away expecting to win by a count out. I just love this man. He is just an amazing performer with what I imagine in real life is probably an amazing sense of humor. And I just want to watch him beat the shit out of young lions all day, every day, man.
Dude, like, I mean, you pretty much echoed my sentiments exactly. This dude is an amazing catch wrestler. He is vicious as hell. 49 years old, an Intercontinental Champion. And you know what, though? I say that sentence, and my first reaction isn't visceral loathing. Like, he's earned that fucking spot to me with the quality of his work. And then when I've gotten to see lately the more humane moments of Suzuki, like fist bumping ZSJ or hugging Matt Riddle. Dude hugged Matt Riddle. He hugged someone and didn't kill them. Like, blows my mind. What? But no, yeah, Suzuki being like this vicious guy, he is still, you know, that you must be really something special to me when you're 49 years old and I'm still rooting for you to be world champion. Like, what the fuck timeline is this? I love his matches. I hope he's in G1 again next year, or this year, I should say, and I'm assuming he will be, because right now he's the Intercontinental fucking champion. And yeah, I love everything about it. I loved it in his hair versus hair match with Goto. Like, that was a really great match. And then he comes back and he shaves off part of his own head, and, you know, he takes it. You know, he takes it like a man. He's more of a real man to me than Silas Young. And Silas Young has kind of fallen out of my good graces as of late. I mean, not so much so, but oh god. But no, Suzuki,
you're not a big fan of the dad bod.
no. I mean, Suzuki though, man, I love it, and I love that, like, his promos. He just keeps talking about, like, oh, you know, Naito, he's like this fraud fortune teller, this and that. That's why the kids love him. He's cut promos about how he'll murder people. He cut a promo in 1G1 a few years back. I mean, I never get tired telling this story about when he was mathematically eliminated. Oh, you don't know that. What if everyone else dies from food poisoning? Like, that's oddly specific. Did you do something in catering before giving that interview? Like, this guy is really something else. And I said it once, I'll say it again. the day he formally retires will be a loss to the wrestling business to me, because this dude's a fucking gem. So we both had Suzuki for number 4, so I guess I'll give my number 3 next.
No, we're still going in order with me going first. So I talked about Suzuki, then you talked about Suzuki. I'll give my number 3 next. And we might even have this in common too. I don't know. I think he might actually be ranking higher for you. He might be number 2, but I don't know. He's my number 3. That being the Stone Pitbull, Tomohiro Ishii.
Tomohiro Ishii still came in at my number 1.
Oh, what? I thought, oh my God, I thought you'd have a new number 1, dude. With all the research and shit you've been doing, I thought for sure that you would have a new number 1.
He has his teeth deep in my heart.
I love that Ishii is like everything that you love about Kairi and Suzuki at the same time, and yet he has nothing in common with either one of them except being Japanese.
Dude, have you ever heard this guy's like outside promos? Like,
I mean, I think not. No,
I've seen some of them subtitled, and it's low key kind of heartbreaking. I feel like I saw one recently that's like, he tells reporters, "Ask me anything, I'm empty anyway." Like, he just feels so defeated when he's so good, and I'm like, oh God, Ishii, you need a hug. Let me give it to you. Let me do this. Yeah, I guess I'll go first very quickly because he was my number 1, so like it doesn't get any higher than that.
Yeah.
I will say again and again, you know, the truth never goes out of style. So if these points seem a bit like tired out, I'm sorry, you know, the truth to me hasn't been sucked out. He looks like he does, and this dude can do perfect fucking sharpshooters and poison ranas for one. Like, I love that, and I will never get tired of that. I love too that maybe he's not necessarily like this badass anymore, because like you're always like, oh, you know, Ishii, and I feel like lately he's been losing more strike exchanges than he's won. But like then you get performances like in this past G1 where he eats a fucking Destino and comes back to win. Like, you know, it's heartbreaking to me because, and I'm trying to remember the YouTuber's name. I think it was Real Puro, because he covered
Real Neat Puro. Real neat Puro.
Yeah, Real Neat Puro, exactly. Thank you. And he did the video on Ishii, and he pretty much said, like, Ishii will never be a world champion, and I don't even think he has expectations for him to ever be Intercontinental champion, because his role is very clearly defined. He is the gatekeeper. He is the guy that if another guy goes through him, you know that that guy's getting the push, and he's ready, and he's getting ready. And I'm like, you know, I get that everybody has their spot, and you just got to get used to it, because that's the nature of the business. But I want this guy to just get fucking something. That's why when Jarveris told me that he's the British, like, Rev Pro heavyweight champion, made me so fucking happy, because, like, the dude deserves to have a run like that. He deserves to be seen as that kind of performer. And I love that he can take, in most circles, a very rudimentary maneuver like a brain buster, and, like, I pop for it because it's Ishii delivering it. I can believe that that's going to end the match. I love, again, that he has a moveset with a depth that he doesn't show. And that's another thing about Ishii. You know what I think it is, dude? Less is more with Ishii. Like, he knows when to show it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, I do this stuff every night. No, like, you're not always going to see him do a tombstone pile driver. But if Okada's pushing him to his limit and he's got to put a motherfucker down, yeah, he'll fucking pile drive Okada and he won't give two fucks. Like, I love that this dude, he has a moveset. And then he has a moveset with an asterisk by it when he's competing in G1s or special occasions. And I really, dude, I am not giving up hope. I want Suzuki versus Ishii this year. And maybe it starts with Ishii beating Suzuki in the same block in G1. I don't know. But you know what? As long as I have a pulse and as long as Ishii's still wrestling and as long as these two forces are in the same space, I am going to keep rooting for Ishii to be Intercontinental champion. Like, I am not going to get so carried away that I'm like, Ishii for world champion, but I'll always root for it like I do with Suzuki. But I honestly believe it's a realistic expectation to say, if Suzuki at 49 can be Intercontinental champion, then Ishii at like 40-41, having 8 years like on Suzuki, his junior, he can get an IC title run one day too, because he has been so consistently good. And to have the honor of being a gatekeeper, like a thank you every once in a while would be nice. And this dude, he's a match of the year machine. Like, we don't even, and you and I have said the same thing. Like, you look at him and you're like, oh, the match is going to be good. And then we're left thinking like he had the best match of the day of that G1 easily. And honestly, the margin isn't even that cool. Like, it's a pretty big gap. And yeah, like, I know what you were probably thinking, right? Everybody was probably thinking, oh, I know who John's number one's going to be. The reason why it wasn't that guy, I still feel the need to be coy, was because, you know, Ishii, to me, he's more versatile than my number two guy, because I will say he was my number two guy. And to me, honestly, like, I feel more emotionally invested in his arc than I do the arc of that other guy. And I hope the Intercontinental Championship is the end of that arc, because he would be an amazing IC champion. And New Japan, I sometimes wonder if you even deserve him. And he's so fucking good, and I love him so much, and he deserves the world. Ishii forever. But I want you to give your 2 cents too, because I know you can really heap on the praise on Ishii when he blows your mind too. So please share your thoughts.
Honestly, dude, I think that the biggest thing with me as far as Ishii goes is that he just consistently, no matter what your expectations are, when you put him in a singles match and he's allowed to tell a story, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes in at the very most, you're on the edge of your seat because you're so invested in the match, and he just drags you into it, whether you want to go there or not, whether you want to care about the match or not, whether you do care about the match or not. He forces you to. He's that damn good of a worker. He drags people kicking and screaming into getting invested in the outcome of his matches, and I think that that is a lost art in professional wrestling that Ishii somehow or another has managed to master. He is like, I don't know, it's like he is like a modern day version of like a Luthez or something, because he's just got something that not everyone else has, that most people, that no one else has, really. I mean, there are very few people that make people care about his matches, whether they wanted to or intended to or even know who he is or not. There just isn't anyone else like that out there. It's just Ishii that I know of, at least.
Yeah. Dude,
I feel like he is the one guy left in New Japan right now that isn't kind of the obvious choice. Obviously, Kenny Omega is the one that everyone would go to. But I think he is that one guy in New Japan right now who doesn't even need to be able to speak English, who would translate to WWE television immediately, assuming they didn't fuck up his performance, his portrayal, his booking. Like,
right.
You put him on Raw, and they could literally just treat him like any other guy. Just put him in a match with like Kurt Hawkins, have him beat Kurt Hawkins in 2 minutes. But then, like, next thing you know, he's in a match with like somebody that people actually care about. Maybe you put him in a match with like Finn Balor, and you don't even need to give them like 20 minutes. Give them like 12 minutes. And I guarantee you, Ishii will make that crowd care about him and about Finn Balor, to the point that I think that Ishii's ring work transcends language.
Yeah, it really does, dude. That's beautiful. That says everything. And you know what doing this New Japan list is really making me? Which is something
excited for G1?
Excited for G1, because if Suzuki and Ishii share the same block, dude, holy fuck, nobody's going to be able to hold me back. Like, holy fucking shit.
I'm just looking forward to seeing when G1 block rosters get released. Like, who's
dude? Yes, because here's the thing: any roster that Okada is like Okada is sharing with, unless it's Naito, because then that would really fall into your plans of Naito, you know, winning the title at Dominion. I'm not going to get too excited for it, because at this point it really has become a foregone conclusion. Like, LOL, Okada wins. The block that is with Suzuki, though, that's more intriguing to me. And especially, again, if Ishii shares it. So we'll see. Suzuki and Goto, actually, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, I can't wait for G1, dude. It's going to be fucking great. And I loved what you said about Ishii. So we can move on. Ishii was my number 1. He was your number 4. So who's your number 3 now?
No, Ishii was my number 3.
Oh, Ishii was your number 3. Okay, so my number 3, then you're right, because we shared Suzuki for number 4. I'm sorry. Number 3 for me, the villain, Marty Scurll. Love this dude. Love this dude so much. What's crazy, guys, is if I'm being truthful, I do have to wonder if he would have even made my Fave 5 if not for his match with Will Ospreay. Because that match was so fucking brilliant. And Scurll was such a heel in it, working over the head and neck. And I love the story of Scurll having Ospreay's number. And I've said this before, we live in such an age where I love so many guys, and I think that's why I've, because you had so many great sound bites there, strayed from the Church of Cole, because there are so many great workers that I fucking love right now that I'm just still waiting for that match that reminds me, like, yeah, they're fucking great, you know, and like I should have them here. And for Skrull, it was that match. Like, Skrull is the next guy because Zack Sabre Jr. did it so well. I want to see him move up to the heavyweight division eventually, and I want to see him compete in a G1 because there's something about like Skrull versus Suzuki, Skrull versus Okada, Skrull versus Naito, etc., that just makes me all tingly, and I want it bad. So yeah, Skrull's brilliant. I love him. I think he's a great technician, but even more than that, he's just ruthless, oozing with charisma to me. Great aesthetic, probably one of my favorite aesthetics in the business, with the bird mask and the umbrella and the suit, and just, oh my God. And yeah, like the British wrestling tradition, which has definitely seen like this big explosion. I don't want to call it a renaissance because I wouldn't even be a fair judge of that. But I think Marty does the British wrestling tradition so proud. I think he's one of the better characters there because I feel like a lot of them really do just rely on the wrestling, but he's got a legitimate character to it. And yeah, I feel like this guy, his best is yet to really show itself in New Japan. And I love him, and I'll always love him. So that's number 3 for me.
I love though that you've got Skrull in your Fave 5 and he's in my honorable mention, and I've got Ospreay in my Fave 5 and he's in your honorable mention.
Dude, yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it really is, dude. So who's next for you on your New Japan list?
This is where people's minds are going to start getting blown, because number 2 on my New Japan Fave 5 list has occupied the number 1 spot this entire time that we've been doing these lists. And he has technically been unseated as my number 1 favorite New Japan performer for now. I don't expect that favoritism to wane long term, but for now, number 2 on my New Japan Fave 5 list.
Whoa.
Naito.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Dude, I gotta be truthful. That's a bigger mind blow to me than John Cena is number 1 on your Raw. Like,
wow. Really?
Because I mean,
well,
when
you find out who my number 1 is, your mind will be less blown. But
and I think I know who it is, and it makes sense. But still, though, dude, like, given that
I think it really does come down to the booking, because he basically has been relegated. Like when we started doing this, he was hotter than he's ever been, and then the second one that we did was right after he won G1, and then the third one was going into him challenging Okada for the title. But since then, he's lost the title to Okada. He's eaten random pins from guys like freaking, well, not even pin. He tapped out to ZSJ. Like, it feels like he is being relegated on the card. And now it looks like he won't even get the world title shot at Dominion that I was hoping for, because it's looking like that's going to go to Tanahashi. So I don't know if they're going to, if Naito's going to win G1 again. I highly doubt that. I don't know what the plans are for him. He might just end up being in like the Intercontinental title picture at the next Wrestle Kingdom, or the US title picture, or hell, for all I know, that for the 6-man tag. I don't know. Maybe the never open. I don't know. He might not be in a title picture at all. Maybe he has some kind of personal story to tell. I don't even know, man. But as of right now, Naito has just gotten relegated and diluted in New Japan to the point that somebody else has leapfrogged him in my favorite list of performers in New Japan. So I absolutely adore Naito, though. El Ingobernable, he's still one of my favorite performers in the freaking world. And you'll see when we get to our top 10 lists, Naito is still in my top 5. So it's not like that far. But in New Japan, within the context of New Japan, yeah, Naito is number 2 on my list. You already know how much I love this guy. He's an exceptional performer. I wish I could say more about him now, but we've gotten so little of him over the last 3.5 months that I don't even have that much to say about him. I'm just looking to the future and hoping that he gets more in the future than he's gotten since our last 5 Fave 5s video.
You know what I will say? Because I think I know who your number 1 is. And to me, because again, we spend so much time together, you and I, that's a big fucking deal. Even if it is only temporary, even if it, like, you know, Naito regains his spot in the next installment, because for the dude that I'm thinking of to do this, and I really do think I've got the right dude, but I'm not going to say anything. I can't wait for you to talk about them because I'm very curious, like all the praise you're going to heap on this person. So before I slip up, let's move on to my number 2 because we already know my number 1 is Ishii. Number 2, the technical wizard, the dickhead hunter, Zack Sabre Jr.
How ironic that he calls himself the dickhead hunter when he's the one that wrestles like a dickhead.
Dude, and that's the thing, because I really almost should put an asterisk by this, because I enjoy Zack Sabre Jr. best, 1, when he's a heel, and 2, when he's repping those Suzuki Gun colors. Like, god damn, dude, his New Japan run has been fucking amazing. Because here's the thing. Like I said, when I learned that, oh my god, I really love this dude, I went back, I watched a lot of matches. Some I had already seen once, but I rewatched with a keener eye. Others I had never really seen before. And here's the thing. I've already mentioned, like, a friend of mine, I'm actually going to plug his Twitter here like I've done like Catch Wrestling and Jackie in the past. Maxae Belmont, that's Maxaie, and then Belmont, Belmont. He did a great thread on the shortcomings of the kind of style that ZSJ does. And I think his criticisms are valid, and they're worth reading and kind of consuming and counterpointing if you can. You know, because he says what it doesn't do for him is, like, Zach could work over a limb for, like, or work over an entire body for 20 plus minutes, and realistically you should be broken down this and that. Like, ZSJ should just be given the win. And yet, you know, when he loses and then people just act fine afterwards, it's like, well, then what was the point of that whole strategy? And, you know, it's a really great thread. I probably didn't even put it into justice with my own words. Go and read it if you can find it, because it is a bit older at this point. But here's the thing. Even with those criticisms being valid in my mind, I still fucking love this dude. Like, you guys know me, and those that knew me when I was past this, before TWitWoW was even a thing, you know me even further than that. Because you guys know I love technical wrestling. I live for that shit. When I saw Chris Benoit for the first time German suplex somebody, it just felt different from seeing stunners or rock bottoms. I just had a different response. And this dude, like, to me, he just makes every match believable. You talk about keeping kayfabe alive and giving wrestling that air of legitimacy in an age of MMA and UFC. Like, the idea when somebody's grabbing the rope, he'll grab the hand and he'll turn that into a Jim Breaks armbar, or he'll just create a totally new submission, like orienteering with napalm death, and I've never fucking seen anything like it. Like, he's innovative. He's insane. I've learned that he's charismatic, because, like, him winning the New Japan Cup and Taka Michinoku as his hype man is the best fucking thing. I ship the fuck out of it, honestly. They're so good together. Give me a cold beer, you know, and stuff like that. Like, he's got a personality as a heel. He's aggressive as fuck in the ring with his submissions. I will say I don't think he had the match of the night at Sakura Genesis. I would give that to Ospreay Skrull, but I still thought it was one of Okada's better title defenses, and I really wish they would have played up the story more of Zack being this great counter wrestler to Okada's Rainmaker, but you can't get everything you want. And honestly, dude, if Ishii doesn't end Suzuki's Intercontinental title reign, I could see dissension within Suzuki Gun, and I could see Zack Sabre Jr. versus Suzuki at Wrestle Kingdom 13 for the Intercontinental title.
That would be glorious.
And Zack wins, and maybe we'd even get Sabre Gun out of the deal, but I don't know. And if that happens, I love Suzuki to death, but, like, I think even he'd be proud, because you can only wrestle for so long, and if you were to pass a torch to anybody, I think Zack's a great fucking choice. And yeah, I know, like, a lot of my other wrestling friends, like, outside of, like, our hardcore TWitWoW bubble here and this and that, like, are very critical of Zack and Ospreay and Skrull. I personally don't care. I love those dudes, especially Zack. Will he be number 1? She's just so special, man, that if I'm being honest, I wouldn't go that far right now anyway, but I could see him being a consistent number 2 for the time being, because, well, technical wrestling forever, and he's just so vicious and charismatic about it. Like, what's not to love? And I've even said, just to kind of round this out, I said one time in a Twitter thread, like, Zack Sabre Jr. is 30 right now. You figure Benoit died at 40. That was 2007. So when I saw him in 2002, he was like 35. And I've even seen stuff, I think, where he would have been 30 around that time, because I've watched older matches. Benoit wishes he was as good at Zack Sabre Jr. at 30 than what he was. I think
yeah, buddy. Oh, snap. The prodigy factor is real with ZSJ.
Yeah, I mean, that's just me being truthful. Like,
dude, how many times have we said prodigy in this commentary?
It feels fucking great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus. Very concerning messages, Jarveris, but we may address that towards the end of the commentary. Right now, though, I am in this mindset of this list.
No, I don't think he got released. I don't think he got released. I think it's just continuing on the angle of him being removed from the Undertaker match and stuff.
But yeah, dude, like, it is high praise for me when I put somebody in terms of being a technician over Chris Benoit. And yeah, Zach does that for me. And I
love that you have your own little Mount Rushmore of wrestling fandom now. Because like it's Mundo, Skrull, Sabre, Ishii. Or not even Ishii, Amos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are like your guys. Like, even though you do have Ishii ranked higher than Zach, I think a lot of people love Ishii, but I feel like nobody loves Zach or Marty or Almas or Mundo as much as you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that those are my guys, and I'm very protective of for sure. And so yeah, with that, dude, I can't fucking wait for this. You guys already know my number one, so the stage is all yours, Ashton. Who's your number one guy?
Well, John, my number one guy, he's a real family man because he's a part of a faction, which could call it a family. And he also has a pet cat with a family of its own.
Yes.
We can't leave Daryl out of the conversation. That's right. My number one in my New Japan Fave 5 is Hiromu Takahashi.
Yes, dude. Run with it. Run with it.
It's weird because when he was Kama Itachi, when we first saw him in Ring of Honor and then subsequently in PWG, there was a lot of hype behind him and I didn't get it. Like, I was like, oh, I mean, he's okay. He's not amazing. He's just solid. And it seems like he kind of works unsafe because that like cannonball to the outside looked like it was unsafe. And I was just like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not into it, whatever. But in his time in New Japan as the ticking time bomb of Los Ingobernables de Japón, he has taken his character, this sort of and this, Dean Ambrose, Nikki Cross, take a fucking note, because this is how you do unhinged in wrestling. Hiromu Takahashi has taken this unhinged character to a level that I never thought possible. And even Marty the Moth Martinez, I feel like, could learn a thing or two from Hiromu on how to play that unhinged character. Because I feel like Marty, and we've already talked about this, I feel like Marty is a little over the top sometimes. Whereas to me, Hiromu has it dialed in so perfectly that he is absolutely on point with it, because he, not only does he have this deranged look in his eyes every time he comes out during his entrances, and not only does he have this amazing in-ring style that's so unorthodox and unlike 99% of the juniors that we see in New Japan, but even at like press conferences, it's not this over the top, like, yeah, you guys, I'm really weird. You should probably stay away from me or I might stab you in the eye with a fork. No, it's like he makes a steak dinner and brings it to a press conference to give to his opponent because he wants them to taste his cooking. Like, he is genuinely unhinged. He is a lunatic, and not in the goofy over the top Dean Ambrose way either. He is what we want characters like Marty and Dean and Nikki Cross to try and aspire to become as far as his mastery of his own character goes. And it doesn't hurt that he squashed Kushida in 2 minutes.
No, it does not. Oh, God, love you. Takahashi. Like, dude, if there's one thing I will agree with my more critical wrestling fan friends about, it's that, like, Hiromu could be doing so much more in New Japan. This dude is so good. Like, I'm so happy, first of all, that I didn't let it slip who your number one was, because I knew it was going to be him. And second of all, I loved everything you just said. I'm not even going to try and add anything to do it, but I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love this list. I love this video series. God, I'm so full of love right now. Do we get to our other list now?
Yeah, I think we can. I think we can get to our final list, the other. And this encompasses people who don't fit into any of the other categories we've discussed. So people that aren't working majority of their schedule in either WWE, NXT, or New Japan. And this includes Ring of Honor, this includes TNA. This can include Lucha Underground guys if we've seen their work outside of Lucha Underground, since we haven't actually seen Lucha Underground in quite a while now. I think the last episode was in like October. This can include PWG. This can include AAA, CMLL, wherever you want to go. As long as it's not WWE, NXT, or New Japan, that is where people belong, is on this list. So, John, this time around, I think I go first, maybe.
If you want to, yeah, man. I mean, we're close to the end of it anyway. If you want to go first, my brother.
I'm trying to remember. No, because you went first on Raw and NXT, so you go first for other. You go first here.
I only have 2 honorable mentions for other, Flash Morgan Webster and Late Edition, and I'm only doing honorable mentions because, again, I feel like it would be disingenuous to put him in a Fave 5, Johnny Mundo / Impact. But rest assured, people, when June comes around, he will reclaim his spot. Yes, but yeah, just honorable mention right now, but by pure technicality only, because mother of God, those obliques. Who are your honorable mentions, my friend?
You have 2, I have 5. So my honorable mentions are pretty much a majority PWG guys. Jonah Rock. I actually really have enjoyed his work in PWG. We just saw his match with Keith Lee at the first night of All-Star Weekend 13, and it was awesome. Big Daddy Walter is on my honorable mentions as well, and I'm sure he might even be in your Fave 5. Ray Horace, also known as El Dragon Azteca Jr. in Lucha Underground, Trevor Lee, and Jimmy Havoc.
One of those guys is in my Fave 5. So
nice. I'm curious though, now that we know each other's honorable mentions, who is your number 5 in your Fave 5 for the other category?
My number 5 is Chuck Taylor.
Yes.
Still love me some Chucky T. I know that his reign recently as PWG champion came to an end. And I'm happy about who ended it. But I'm so glad PWG trusted him with that. I'm so glad that Chuck Taylor's still wrestling, because there was a time when I heard that, like, you know, he really wanted WWE, and when he knew WWE wasn't going to put feelers out, like he was going to retire. I'm glad he's still doing this, because I find him to be funny as fuck. He seems like a real genuine and cool dude. I mean, hell, when I was doing my whole big, night of fandom, the night Johnny Mundo won the Lucha Underground Championship and like hyping it up, I accidentally tweeted at Chuck Taylor, because I'm trying to remember who I really wanted to tweet at.
You wanted to tweet at Sexy Star, but instead you tagged at Sexy Chucky T.
Yeah. And then it's like, nah, man, I got this. Like, that was amazing. And, he's such a cool dude. And I think he's a great worker. He's shown that he can be more than a comedy wrestler to me, which is great, because I feel, and this is where I will be critical of the old fogies like Cornette. I think he feels like if you're one thing, you're nothing other than that one thing. And I really don't care for, that kind of like myopic kind of mindset. Chuck Taylor has shown he's nuanced.
You mean to tell me that the Gangstas wasn't a nice nuanced gimmick that had a lot of depth to it, John?
Yeah, right. But yeah, Chuck Taylor has really proven himself, I think, as that big guy. I mean, again, PWG trusted their world title with him for a good bit of time too. His reign wasn't nothing. And it's cracking in my number 5. To be fair, I could see his time coming to an end, again, because of all the great performers that I'm learning about every day. But, this might just be the last time. So I will say, Chuck Taylor, thank you for just being still one of the best comedy wrestlers that I know.
I've also heard that Shimmer is apparently going to be getting some kind of online streaming service, so we might start covering that. So we might have a few more females in our other category of our Fave 5 next time we do this. I don't know.
Absolutely, dude. Great stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, I love your number 5. My number 5 is somebody that we haven't seen as much of as we've seen of Chuck Taylor, but it's a guy that we did see briefly at the end of season 2 of Lucha Underground as a different gimmick. And we just saw last night watching the first part of All-Star Weekend, and we see him occasionally in PWG, and I just think he is, I mean, people call Ricochet the future of Flight. Well, to me, Flamita is the Flight. This dude is incredible as a luchador, like just full-blown lucha libre style, makes no bones about it. He is, I feel like he is Phoenix without the cringy White Knight character shit, and without the, oh, I'm Pentagon's brother, and feeling like he's hanging off the coattails of someone else kind of deal. Like, this is, and not to mention, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Flamita and haven't been following his career, 23 years old.
Yeah.
So
he's just insane.
Is another guy that qualifies as a prodigy, and he is absolutely exceptional. And I really, knowing that he has been able to work PWG, I hope that that means that we will get the return of Nightclaw in Lucha Underground season 4, or even if they want to ditch that gimmick, maybe just a debut of Flamita as Flamita in Lucha Underground. I don't know. I just love Flamita, and knowing that he's able to work PWG, which means that his visa must be in enough order to be able to work shows in the US. I hope that means that we get him in Lucha Underground in some capacity, because he is exceptional and he fits the style perfectly. He embodies the style.
For sure. I love it. You know what? No, I can't. Actually, no, you know what? I can do that. I want to make a very quick change to my list.
No problem, man. I remember last time we did this, I made an audible on the fly, switching numbers. I think I moved Joe up from like 4 to 3 or something like that.
Yeah, because I want to just switch 2 names around here. Actually, I'm adding a name. It's not even a switch, but you know, it just feels more organic to me having it in this order. Coming in at number 4 for me, and you called it, dude. You called it. Big Daddy Walter.
Nice.
This dude is a beast. Oh my god. Dude, ring conf. I need to watch more of them as a faction. And really, I gotta tell you, coming up for me, because I still have so much to do, and I really kind of hate it a little bit. But the next few Saturdays when I'm free and I have those open days, I might just be that stereotype that gets high, gets a nice bowl of a snack of some kind, and just watches wrestling. And it's going to be Mark Haskins. It's going to be fucking Flip Gordon. And yeah, it's going to be Big Daddy Walter. I love this dude's look. But I love that he can look as menacing as he does, and yet he's like as proficient and versatile as he is in the ring. I just love ring comp as kind of like a concept, you know, and that's really cool. And I can't really say too much about Walter right now because I feel like I'm very embryonic in my fandom yet. But I love what I've seen of this dude, and now I'm going to go back and rewatch a lot of the stuff, but with a much more critical eye, like I did with ZSJ, and a much more passionate eye, if you will. But yeah, Walter's fucking, oh my god, dude. He's so good. Just so good. So yeah, I can't wait to see more of him, but he had to get number 4 because I'm really enjoying his stuff as of late. So kudos to you, Walter.
Did you see the pictures of Carl Ouellette's chest after his match with Walter at Joey Janela's Spring Break 2?
No, but if you can link me to that, that sounds low-key, both horrifying and amazing. Like,
okay. God, I really. Oh, there's a picture. Found a picture. It literally looks like it's decomposing. By the way, I just want to warn you. Like, trigger warning. NSFL. Really, like.
Oh, come on! It can't be that bad. Oh, Jesus, it is that bad. What the fuck? Oh, my God.
It literally looks like a rotting flesh wound. Like it's just decomposing from the inside out, doesn't it?
Yeah, dude, that's scary as shit, man. Holy fuck.
That's what Walter is capable of doing to people.
Well, I mean, God, there are so many responses I could have to this. I guess I'm not surprised. And in other news, water is wet. Holy shit, Walter! For fuck's sake, man, dude, I kind of want to see him versus Marufuji now.
Oh yeah, the Battle of the Chops, absolutely. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Oh my god! All right, dude. So who's next on your list?
Well, you had a hard-nosed, gigantic powerhouse as your number 4. And my number 4 is also a powerhouse, but in a much less gritty, much more flashy fashion. Number 4 on my list is the peacock of pro wrestling, Dalton Castle.
Yes. Yes.
Dalton Castle is a guy that I have been a huge fan of for 2 or 3 years now. We kind of discovered him as Ashley Remington in Chikara's You Only Live Twice show. And I really didn't know what he was at that time, but when he showed up in Ring of Honor as Dalton Castle and he had the boys and he had the peacock and he had the bodysuit and he had all the goofy ass poses that he keeps doing in every match, I did not take long to basically fall in love with him as a performer. He is so charismatic, so goofy, so over the top, and yet all that flash and all of that gravitas and all of that showmanship in this compact powerhouse of a body that is an amazing technical wrestler. He is just an exceptional performer. You put him in the ring with just about anybody. He's basically I feel like he is an entity where if he went through the detoxifier in Rick and Morty, he is what would come out, and Trevor Lee is what went into the detoxifier as the toxic version of himself.
Yeah. Holy,
you know what I mean? Like, Trevor Lee is the toxic version of Dalton Castle. Dalton Castle is the pure version of Trevor Lee. You know what I mean? Like, parallel each other so much. And Trevor Lee was an honorable mention, mostly because I've barely seen his work. And from what I have seen, he's kind of lost a step. It seems like he's gained some weight and lost a little bit of his crazy athleticism that I've known him as. But Dalton Castle hasn't lost a step. If anything, he keeps getting better. And he's the Ring of Honor World Champion. And he just had a really solid match with Marty Scurll that had a fuck finish at Supercard of Honor 12. So Dalton Castle back on my radar. And I'm so glad, if nothing else, even if I would say that it was an absolutely horrible, miserable experience, which not all of it, but some of it might have been. I thank Super Blue for asking us to live react to Supercard of Honor exclusively for the reason that it put Dalton Castle back on my radar. Thank you, Super Blue, for reminding me how damn great this guy is as a performer. So Dalton Castle, number 4. Now, John, let us know who your number 3 is. And I'm guessing we're going to share at least 2 names in our top 3s.
Okay, well, let's see if this is it. Coming in at number 3 for me, Matt Riddle.
Ding, ding, ding. He's also my number 3.
All right. Should I go first on this one?
Yes.
All right. Well, with Matt Riddle, I love too. Like, I'm loving that, and I keep saying, like, I've said this a lot about monster characters, and I'll say this about like the technical guys too. I love that we're like far past the era that a great technical wrestler has to be a Dean Malenko type. That you can have a very proficient technical wrestler that has just as much personality to match. And like Matt Riddle is that for me, you know, with the bro kind of gimmick, and it's far less obnoxious. What's funny is it's far less obnoxious than Zack Ryder's, and yet I feel like it's more committal as well. Because like he has like the bro stone, the bro to sleep, I don't know what he calls a submission, the bro mission, I think he calls it. So like it's everywhere, and yet I still find it less noxious than Ryder's stuff. But yeah, man, I think he's great. I hate that we live in a country that really heavily penalizes marijuana use and stuff like that, because I feel like if we lived in a more liberal society in regards to that, Matt Riddle's career would be fucking flourishing right now on every front. Not just as a country, but like as a world. I mean, if we were just more liberal about it globally, he'd be flourishing because he'd be in New Japan right now, I think, and really doing quality stuff. The idea that he's only been wrestling a few years and like got into it a bit later, because I think he's only in like his early 30s, but he hasn't been wrestling that long and he picked it up that quickly, just shows you how insanely talented the dude is. And yeah, I'm really happy for him and Jeff Cobb as the Chosen Bros that they are the PWG Tag Team Champions. I think that's the coolest fucking shit. I've loved their story as a tag team in PWG, so it just feels right. And yeah, man, there's really nothing more I can say than that. Matt Riddle's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I love that Matt Riddle combines this, surfer dude look with this amazing technical proficiency. And oh, by the way, body of a Greek god as well.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely, dude. I mean,
he is that guy that when a mainstream company actually, takes the risk, when they say, well, we know that you like weed, but we're willing to take the risk on that, and they sign him to a contract, he is going to take the wrestling world by storm. That right there, that's the move that TNA should be making. They don't drug test their performers. TNA should 150% be on the phone with Matt Riddle yesterday, trying to sign him to a lucrative 3+ year contract where they have him locked down with no chance of him going to WWE and like exclusive first rights to negotiate an extension at the end of his contract, because he is a franchise player. He is a 5-star recruit. He is everything that you want in a pro wrestler. He can talk. He has an incredible look. He's charismatic. He's amazing in the ring. Like, there's nothing this guy can't do. Matt Riddle is a complete performer in every sense of the word. And for some reason, I mean, I get it with New Japan because they have different values over there. I get it with WWE because it would look bad as far as the drug testing goes. But for some reason, Lucha Underground, Ring of Honor, and TNA haven't touched him. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent point, dude. And I think that's a fine point to leave number 3 on. So you give your number 2 now, right?
No, you give your number 2.
I give my number 2 now. My number 2, and I hope he can forgive me because I'm still completely willing to bask in his glory.
And we share number 2 as well. We both have Keith Lee at number 2.
Keith Lee. I want you to go first on this one. Why do you love Keith Lee so much?
What isn't there to love about this man? I think that Keith Lee is charismatic. Keith Lee is really good at like in the ring trash talk kind of stuff. And he's this gigantic, like 6'3", 300+ pound human being who does moonsaults and the pounce and crazy like power bombs and stuff. And he is an incredible athlete. And he had one of the best matches of 2017. And I just don't know what else to say about him. He's just great.
Yeah. I mean, you echoed my sentiments. One of the happiest moments I felt for this dude was seeing a clip from a WXW show where he got a standing ovation and people were singing like in unison as a crowd, "Oh, bask in his glory." Like It was.
He is that kind of a magnetic presence.
Yeah, he really is. I love that his finishing move is called the Spirit Bomb. Like, so he's clearly at least partially an otaku of sorts, which is amazing. And yeah, the dude, I saw one gif of him where he caught like a tope con hero or something, and like he power bombed the person on the apron. And I've always wanted to see a counter like that ever since I was a little kid. I'm like, well, could you catch flying moves like that? Because we've already seen it 1,000 times, like catching a crossbody or catching a moonsault. But could you catch somebody coming
I mean, even though like we don't see it often, I think my favorite prior to the Keith Lee catching someone out of a whatever it was, the over the top rope thing into the power bomb, I think my favorite catch style thing was Brian Cage catching a suicide dive into a vertical suplex. Like that's
And then Keith Lee goes, and I think he like levels up, and that's just absolutely insane to me. I mentioned earlier that Chuck Taylor lost the PWG title. Keith Lee was the guy that beat him for it. I think that's an excellent fucking choice. I think PWG is very smart hitching their wagon to this dude.
Yeah,
because you can't lose with this dude. If you want him to be babyface because he's magnetic, he's so much fun. Like, he could do his whole reign as babyface. If you want him to be heel, look at him. Like, he's a very believable heel like that. And plus, with the arrogance of, you will bask in my glory. Like, you can have it both ways with him. And it's very rare, I think, that you can say that about a performer. And it's just a testament to their quality. This is Keith Lee's time, man. And I honestly think Keith Lee came around in a great era where indie wrestling really does have kind of a thriving pulse. because I've heard rumors that NXT is interested, but I don't know if they're ever going to act on them or if they were just rumors. If they are, you can clearly see that he's doing just fine in PWG. He's the world champion now. And if NXT does want to sign him down the road, I could see him as an NXT champion very easily, actually.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing, too, is that he's clearly on their radar because he actually just worked against Cassius Ohno in an NXT ring at Access over the weekend.
Yeah. And that's just it, man. Like, I think this guy's still got a bright future. Isn't he a bit on the older side? Like, is he 33, 34? Like, I felt like he was.
I'm not even entirely sure how old he is. Let me actually, I'm going to Google Keith Lee and see what comes up. I'm seeing a build, height, and weight. And it says that he was born 1984 to 1985. So that would put him in that, like, 33 to 34 range. Yes.
That's still not bad. You know, I think, you know, he's in a time where, like, yeah, he'll be able to give a good bit to PWG. But I mean, WWE has done these later signings with like AJ Nakamura. Now, obviously, they're special cases because they really proved their case all throughout the world. But if they would want to make, I mean, hell, a guy that I think is lesser than those guys, Bobby Roode, he's 40 right now, and he's whatever. So if they wanted to get Keith Lee a little later, because I don't know how WWE is going to work. I still think they could get something worthwhile out of Keith Lee, especially in NXT. And yeah, I love the dude. He's great. So we both had the same number 2. So now I guess I'll give my number 1. And my number 1, which I think does technically count because he was working All-Star Weekend Night 1, Mark Haskins.
Oh, what? That's awesome.
I fucking love Mark Haskins. The dude is insanely talented. It's crazy that I'm giving him the number 1 right now because he's still a guy where I want to go and I want to watch more matches. But, you know, like, I've seen enough stuff from Progress, and then that match for All-Star Weekend with, you know, PWG in Night 1, I thought that match was fucking great. And I'm like, you know what? Mark Haskins does it for me. And I think he's only 31. So even though he is in his 30s now, like, he's on the younger end of the 30 spectrum. And yeah, the dude's got a great look. I mean,
actually, John, I just looked up Mark Haskins. He's only 29.
Oh, wow. I don't know where I got 31 from then.
Yeah, it says that he'll turn 30 on June 25th of this year.
That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. And I think he has a great look. I mean, in Progress, his look has obviously changed since then. But, you know, in Progress, I called him, like, Mini Cole because I got that vibe from him. And, you know, like, he still has a great look here. I think he's insanely talented, and I love the dude. And I really can't wait for a weekend where I'm free that I can really just watch more matches of his, because I think he'll be number 1. Walter will be number 2, and then, like, Flip Gordon, Flash Morgan Webster, I'll probably alternate between those two so I can cover more ground. But yeah, like, Mark Haskins, I definitely have my eye on him, and I'm really hoping that the fandom sticks because I'm loving what I'm seeing right now.
Oh, so man, that's so cool. I definitely didn't expect that. I honestly expected us to share number 1 again, and my number 1 wasn't even in your honorable mentions, dude. What's up with that?
Well, who's your number 1?
Jeff Cobb.
Yeah, dude, honestly, the change that I made, that I told you, like, I was calling that audible, it was removing Jeff Cobb completely. Sorry. You know, it's like, he's so talented. I can't believe this, because if he was, like, confronting me, like, what, you don't like my wrestling? First, I would get incredibly warm all of a sudden in the right pant leg region. But then I would say, look, Jeff, it's not you. It's me. And it would actually be one of those few moments where that bullshit line was sincere. Again, it's just another case like Cole. So many great workers right now. Somebody has to get cut. But I'm glad that Jeff Cobb was still able to hang on for you. So please take the
really, he was meant to be on your list, but then you replaced him. But then because we already passed honorable mentions, you couldn't use him as an honorable mention. So I'll just add him to your honorable mentions list.
Yeah, even Jarveris, who I feel like is normally on my side like 95% of the time, was just like, John, what's wrong with you, bro? So yes, please tell us why Jeff Cobb is so fucking wonderful.
I feel like I've given this diatribe before. I just think Jeff Cobb is amazing, and as a human being, he's just this big, huggable teddy bear, and then he gets in the ring and murders face.
Yeah, murders face. Yes, he does, dude. Yes, he does.
So, yeah, Jeff Cobb is my favorite non-WWE/NXT/New Japan performer, although I really sincerely hope that he ends up either signing to really not even either, just straight up. I want him in New Japan. I want him in a G1. I want him going one-on-one with Ishii and Nagata and Kojima and Suzuki. Holy shit. Jeff Cobb versus Suzuki. Oh my God. You know what? I lost my train of thought because I think I just came just thinking about that.
Dude, I agree with you. It's a shame that Nagata and Kojima are retired from G1, but still though, dude, Jeff Cobb with his size and his Olympic background versus a heel Zack Sabre Jr. that could bend him like a pretzel. Like, I think that's an amazing story waiting to happen.
And especially because the limb size of Jeff Cobb could make it even more challenging for Sabre to be able to pull off those submissions.
Exactly, dude. Jeff Cobb versus Okada, like,
yes, all of my yes. I still like even Jeff Cobb versus Goto gets me excited.
Dude, wrestling boners are the best boners. Like, I
don't know. I kind of still prefer the boners you get when you look at a naked lady, but you know.
I mean, dude, in the past 3 hours, because we went live at 7, and in the past 3 hours, I must have like pitched a wrestling tent like 20 times. But no, dude, you're absolutely right. Cobb, and the thing about Cobb too is he is legit. Like, he has a legit Olympic background, and he's really allowed to show it. Like, that is one thing. I love Chad Gable, but just something tells me that we're still not really allowed to see the full extent of that background. With Jeff Cobb, though, no. Like, you're getting suplexed, and I don't even really care if you like it. It's just, it's happening. This is life now. Deal with it. And he's just so good. So I love that he's still your number one, dude. And I think he'll get back on my Fave 5 soon enough. Even if it is
hopefully by the next time we do a Fave 5, and he'll be on your Lucha Underground list as Matanza.
Yes, and he's such a great character performer too, and under that mask, oh my God. But yeah, that's our other list, which leaves only one thing, and that's our overall top 10. And now with these, don't we usually just run them down and then hand it over to the other guy?
Pretty much, yeah. So since you have been going first for sort of odd number, you went first on the first thing, and then the third thing, and then the fifth thing. I guess I have to go first here, which is cool because that means that you get to go last. You get to close this video out, dude.
Hooray!
Just so you know, the last person to go also has to do the outro.
Aww.
I'm joking. If you don't want to do the outro, you don't have to.
Yay! Delegating labor. I only really don't want to do it because you do it better than me, so I'm kind of self-conscious.
Because you take 8 minutes to say what I do in 2.
Well, I thought you were going to say 8 minutes to say what you do in 5, because I feel like just because of our content list, the outros have gotten a bit lengthier, but I mean, still true. So,
all right. So let's get right into these. Our master lists, our favorite top 10 performers in the world, regardless of brand. John, I'm going to start things out with number 10, Keith Lee.
Yes. Number 10 for me, Matt Riddle.
Nice. Number 9 for me is the Drifter, Elias.
Number 9 for me, Mark Haskins.
Wow. I can't believe how much he's shot up your charts. But hey, I mean, shit, man. Speaking of not being able to believe things, number 8 for me.
Yeah.
Number 8 for me is John Cena. So there you go.
Number 8 for me, Velveteen Dream.
I love it. Yes. Number 7 for me is my number 1 other section, Jeff Cobb. I absolutely love the man. He's amazing. And he's number 7 on my Universal Master list. So who's your 7, John?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying a silent prayer before giving my number 7 because I don't want to die. Number 7, Minoru Suzuki.
I started typing it before you even said his name because I knew that's what you were going for.
I love that you associate him with fear. That's how it should be.
Number 6 is the newly turned heel, Shinsuke Nakamura.
Dude, yes. Hold on here. Let me actually close out of this since I'm not referencing this anymore. I might Fave 5 list number 3 up just to see how many changes I made. Number 6, the Stone Pitbull Ishii.
Nice. Tomohiro Ishii. Number 5 for me. I'm going to do it, John. Are you ready?
Yes.
Adam Cole, baby.
God, I will never get tired of your Cole fandom. Number 5 for me, because it's just so good to be bad. The villain, Marty Scurll.
Love it. Yes. Well, my number 4 is also a number 1. He's I believe my first, or no, I guess Jeff Cobb and John Cena were both number 1s on their respective lists, but number 4 for me is also a number 1 on his list, that being Daniel Bryan.
Number 4 for me, Kairi Sane.
I love it, man. I love that you are this into her. It's so great. It makes me so happy.
All right, man. Now the big kahunas. Let's do it.
Yep. Big kahunas, top 3. I'll tell you, 2 of my top 3 guys are currently in New Japan, and all 3 of them are either currently or formerly in New Japan. Number 3, Tetsuya Naito.
Oh, wow. Only a number 3. But hey, I guess I shouldn't judge given how my list is going to hand out. Number 3 for me, the never-ending nightmare for Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa.
I think we're going to share a number 1. Number 2 for me is my number 1 in New Japan, Hiromu Takahashi.
Number 2 for me is Sami Zayn.
Oh my God, Splooge Fest, be prepared because both of our number 1 is tres, dos, uno,
Andrade.
Cien
Almas. Dude, we both share Andrade at number 1. That is fucking surreal.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah. Dude, I always feel like, because don't get me wrong, we like a lot of the same people. It's not that. But as far as
here's the crazy thing, too. We have nobody else in common in our top 10 lists at all.
Andrade brings people together. Oh my God. Dude, you know what this makes me so excited for, though? Because, like, and this is just my honest opinion, because, again, we do like a lot of the same guys, but with us, it really is, like, a difference of degrees. And then the guys that we really like, it usually comes down to something within our personalities, because we do have different personalities. What's so great about us loving Andrade as much as we do, even if one of us falls off a little bit, like in the coming year or whatever, I think we will always love him so much that him becoming WWE World Champion, if that happens, is going to be a mutually big reaction from both of us. And I love that, because normally with reactions, it's like, oh, it's Mundo, so that's going to be a John thing, or oh, this is a Hiromu or Naito thing, so that's going to be Ashton's thing. But we're sharing this thing. Like, yep. I love that, dude. That's so fucking cool. Oh my God. He has
and
to.
And I also just want to point out that even despite the name at the top changing, the tippity top of my master list in every single episode of Five Fave Fives has belonged to an Ingobernable.
Yes, you are LIJ forever.
Not even LIJ, just LI. Just
oh yeah, I was even gonna say just LI. Really, I love it. You are tranquilo forever, my friend. That's so cool.
I love Paul in chat. Whatever, he does a good moonsault, I guess.
And like, I'm telling you, dude, really, because I can already know, like, in the next installment, Mundo's going to go back to number 1, but really, it would be more accurate to say 1A and 1B. Because, like, Andrade...
That's how high up Andrade is for you.
He really is, dude. He really is. Like,
oh my God. So good. And I love when he comes out with the mask on and then throws it away like he's shedding a previous identity.
Yes. I don't need this skin. I'm on Andrade. Like, yes.
And you know, I gotta tell you, I'm not really a big fan of all this skin up in my personal space.
You rip it off. Oh my God, I love this video series so much. I needed this after Super Card of Honor yesterday. I will fucking tell you what.
I mean, I figured that after Super Card of Honor, seeing War Raiders debut would be enough to get you all up, but I guess
I love War Raiders, but you know what I love even more? Just celebrating how fucking good wrestling can be, man. Jesus. Oh, so wonderful.
And he's 28, dude.
We've got so much time with him, and no one's gonna take it from us. I will murder someone. Yes. Dude, I just want him to knee AJ Styles in the face. I don't even talking Nakamura style either. Right in the corner, and then hammerlock DDT a bitch, just right in the canvas. Oh my god. Yes.
Rope
yes. Yeah. Oh, dude, yes. Randy thinks he's on shit. I want to see him spike Randy on his head with it. Yeah. What legend you killing now, motherfucker? Get out of my ring. Oh my god. Dude, it's obvious to me what needs to happen here. Adam Cole and Andrade just need to rule their respective brands, and just like that should be WWE until the end of time. Like I'm convinced now that's utopia. And just oh my god. I love wrestling. I love this video. I want to thank everybody that came out to listen to us. And Andrade, yes, Paul, how you breathing, asshole? Andrade forever. Great wrestling forever. And we'll see you tomorrow for our Superstar Shakeup. But with that, I'm going to hand the reins over to Ashton. Ashton, you can close us out.
All right, guys, this has been so much fun, and I'm with John now. I think this has become my favorite video series that we do as well. It's just so fun to be able to let our fan flags fly, and that's exactly what we've done for the last 3.25 hours, basically. And it's been worth every minute of it. It's been so much fun. And sharing in the mutual love of Andrade Cien Almas, the one true Jesus, the true new God, is truly what brings people together. And yeah, it's been amazing. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed listening to us talk about shit that we're passionate about as much as we've enjoyed talking about shit that we're passionate about. So that being said, please, if you did enjoy us talking about the stuff that we were passionate about, like this video, leave a comment. Let us know, what were your 5 fave fives? Who are your 5 favorite performers on Raw, on SmackDown, in NXT, in New Japan, outside of those companies, and your universal, your master list, your top 10 favorite performers, regardless of promotion. Even if you don't want to go to the extent of making fave 5 lists, just giving us your universal top 10 would be amazing. We love knowing who our fans are the biggest fans of, and hearing from you guys in the comments section down below would put a smile on both of our faces. Of course, then, if you haven't already, remember to subscribe to the channel. And once you do, remember to click that bell icon for notifications. Or if you want slightly more, and by slightly, I mean significantly more reliable notifications, follow John and myself on Twitter, because every time we do go live, my Twitter feed automatically tweets out, hey guys, we're live. Here's the link to the video that you can click on to join us. It's amazing. It's this technology thing. It's brilliant. Technology truly is fantastic, you guys. And of course, you can like a Facebook page. I really I stopped plugging the subreddit, so I'm just going to delete that out of the description because no one gives a shit about that apparently. And of course, if you're interested in supporting TWitWoW, you can do so by either buying our merch at Teespring or by donating to our Patreon. It's only $3 a month, getting you access to the official TWitWoW Patreon Discord channel, and over time allowing you to request live reactions to a wrestling show of your choosing, and also allowing us to continue live reacting to Progress every week of every month. All that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be going live at the same time that we went live today with our mock Superstar Shakeup tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We are going to be trying to figure out who in our minds should be switching brands, who that hasn't been on Raw should be on Raw, who that hasn't been on SmackDown should be on SmackDown. We're going to have a few NXT call-ups sprinkled in there, as well as obviously switches between brands. And hopefully you guys enjoy our version, and hopefully WWE makes their version just as enjoyable. So we'll see you guys tomorrow for that. And of course, we will also be live reacting to the Superstar Shakeup on Monday and Tuesday. So we hope that you all enjoy our reactions to that. And like I said, hopefully the actual shows are enjoyable to begin with. So if you want to make sure to catch all that stuff, you've only got one job, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, 2 jobs. I take that back. You've got 2 jobs. First thing is share this channel, share this video, share everything TWitWoW with your wrestling fan friends. Let them in on the YouTube wrestling community's best kept secret. But then your only other job is to remember to stay tuned.